Alright, I'm recording now.
Cool.
Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. Today we have PewDiePie on
Hello, I am PewDiePie.
to talk about how
What's up,
much how,
bros?
how much he loves Minecraft and Fortnite and awesome memes about the mosque shooting. You know, stuff like that. So, today we're not gonna talk about any of that shit because no one fucking cares about it. Instead, we're gonna talk about precision platformers because for some reason I thought that was a good idea, like 7 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking, honestly, but sure.
It was like this is very necessary, so I'm gonna try to explain it. But I guess I just felt that 3 people wasn't quite enough, and I should add one other. And hey, you were the only person I could think of because you like precision platformers, and I fucking don't. So I guess I chose you. I don't know. Fuck it. We're talking about Super Meat Boy now.
Okay, it's a good game.
Yeah, what makes it a good game? Let's explore. Let's dive right in,
Oh
lads.
boy. Well,
This is fucking so awkward.
how about the controls? It's pretty important in a platformer,
Am I starting?
I guess.
This is something we should have thought about beforehand.
Nah,
um,
that would be stupid.
I'm kind of conflicted on the controls, in like a little bit, because I really like them. I think it's probably one of the best parts of the game, but they just feel really imprecise because of how floaty and slow the momentum is. So like when the game inevitably requires you to do some like actual precision platforming later in the game or during like even the fucking Salt Factory Dark World, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't fucking know. It just kind of falls apart because you can barely fucking control Meat Boy on tiny platforms and shit. It's
I
kind of
feel like
yucky.
that's just lack of experience with controlling the character rather than
Well,
like
I,
I'll agree with you that they're floaty and like it's a lot more about momentum than precision. But I think like once you get used to it, it's not that bad to be precise.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree though, because fucking I had a point that I forgot, so that's cool. Um,
Nice.
I'm just gonna start saying shit. Hopefully, I remember. uh, yeah. So, even if you can get used to it, I don't think that that necessarily means that the game is built, or at least the controls are built for actual precision on like small platforms and through tiny spaces. Uh, because it's just kind of it's like it kind of fights against you in a way, and learning to deal with that isn't really the same as the game having controls that are conducive to that sort of gameplay.
Yeah, that's
If
fair.
so, like, why is your fucking nickname A now? Incredible.
What? No, it isn't.
And I don't think that the controls would really be a problem for me if the game was more focused on stuff that, at least from what I've seen, uh, quick aside, I just realized I never fucked around with my mic cord to make sure it doesn't die, so hopefully
Nice.
there isn't a lot of loud shit going on soon. But
So far, it's good.
I don't
So
think
far.
the controls would really be a problem if it weren't for the game starting to delve into that sort of really precise platforming. Because earlier in the game, pretty much for like the entire thing, uh Dark World excluded, up until maybe like the Cotton Alley, it never really does that sort of stuff. And if it does, it's like very brief and it functions basically as a one-off. Maybe the end has a little bit of it, but it really wasn't that bad when I played. But once you
Yeah,
start doing the Dark Worlds and shit, it just starts to get like really tight, and I don't think it works well with that. And I don't think that given the controls, they should have actually went for that sort of design. Also, the fucking jumps don't have any Coyote frames or anything, which I fucking hate. That
yeah,
shit's
the jumping
unacceptable. They
is
they
a bit of a
fucking
problem.
they fucking updated it with the new garbage ass soundtrack, and they didn't. They could have added like 2 frames or something. Please.
Why would they?
I mean, fair enough.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I do agree that the controls with the Coyote or lack of Coyote frames and buffering can be annoying. It's the sort of thing like technically it's perfectly fair, right? Like
well, yeah.
if you mess up, it's always your fault. You could have pressed the jump a frame later or earlier or whatever. But at the same time, it's like it's kind of common practice to include some leniency in your game,
It
especially in precision platformers and stuff. So it's like I don't know. It's a weird decision for sure.
it goes back to the fucking like momentum based, really slow acceleration shit because it makes it a lot more pronounced when you're so easily able to slide off of platforms when you didn't mean to. And then if you try and jump while you think you're on the platform anyway, then it not working because there's absolutely no leniency is a fuck ton more noticeable than in like I want to be the guy fan games. It just kind of amplifies the problem in a way.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of fan games, Rythin's gonna cry about this, but moving platforms kind of snap you onto them. It's kind of weird. I don't like
I
it.
I've
It seems
never
to eat your
noticed it.
jumps. It fucking seems to eat your jumps. Alright? I can't confirm, but I fucking swear.
I have played hundreds of hours of Meat Boy and I've never noticed that.
Well, that's
So
because you have like 3 IQ. That's a you problem, okay?
maybe I'm just better at the game, you know?
I wish I was good enough at the game that I didn't snap onto platforms with video proof.
I mean, yeah, you just suck. Sorry.
Oh,
That's how it goes.
okay.
Yeah.
A lot of the mechanics introduced in the game are relatively basic. TBH.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah, for sure.
it's just kind of breaking blocks. There are some spinning saws. There are shooting saws. Uh, there are like
Yes, like
portals that I feel like the portals probably could have been utilized more. I
yeah,
get that they're relegated to a specific world just to kind of keep, I guess, a theme for each world, but I think
I
it
do
could have
wish there was
done.
a, like a I would do wish there was something like Celeste Summit where all the gimmicks are combined into one, like
Yeah,
one stage.
maybe Cotton Alley could have been that.
Yeah, but
I
instead Coronali, well,
I haven't actually played
it
Cotton Alley, so it could be that. I don't fucking know.
it has a mix of some of them. Like it has I think it has breaking blocks. I'm not sure now. It definitely
Oh
has the
snap,
rockets. It definitely has rockets and the black rockets from hell, whatever those
bruh.
are called.
Those are like the crocodile things, right?
Yeah, yeah, the ones that split into 5 on impact
Wow.
and they're really annoying and no one likes them.
If that thing hit a corner, wouldn't it theoretically split into like 7 or some shit?
It always splits into 5
It's
depending on
always
which
5.
side it hits. Yeah.
Yeah, but if it hit like the edge of a corner, Couldn't it?
I don't think that's possible.
Whatever.
I feel like with Meat Boy, if that happened, the game would just crash.
Fucking probably, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not the most well-programmed game.
Flash is a good engine, shut up.
Very good, yes. Absolutely.
What other fucking mechanics? There are the rapture things that like push you away.
Yeah,
Are,
the
are
gravity
there
walls.
is there anything else? Moving platforms, I guess I haven't mentioned that as
Well,
a
moving platforms, moving obstacles, shooting things, rockets. Oh, the zombies.
fuck, I forgot about those because they're useless.
Yeah. I
Alright,
mean,
epic.
they're used in like a couple levels.
Yeah, the
Technically
fucking
more in Dark Rapture,
I
but
remember back in like 2014 when I first played the game, I had a lot of trouble with the Light World Raptors with those dudes in it, but coming back, like they were a fucking meme to avoid. Also, there are those other things in the Rapture that chase you. I just remember those. They're like
oh
the
yeah, the
flies.
floating. Yeah.
They're pretty fucking useless too, because you can just like either ignore them or lure them off to the side at the start of that one level with like a huge fucking chimney on the top left.
Yeah,
And then
519 I think.
imagine remembering that shit.
I speedrun the game. Like I remember some of the levels.
Some of them, okay.
I know it's near the end, so
Anyway,
that's my guess.
speaking of really fucking boring mechanics, Celeste has even worse ones in terms of variety. How do you feel about that?
Well, what all is there? There's
There are moving platforms that move when you touch them, moving platforms that move when you dash into them. There are moving platforms that move when you dash anywhere. Um,
what moving platforms move when you dash into them? What?
it's like the fucking blue and brown blocks in chapter 6.
Oh, those, right. Kevin blocks.
SMH. Those ones are probably like one of the best mechanics in the game, honestly. Um,
Mm,
oh, I just died.
nice.
Also, I didn't play the core.
You didn't play the
XD.
most interesting chapter.
Like,
Oh,
listen, alright. I don't I don't think that whatever, I'll get into that later. There are the switch things in the core. They're fucking pinball bouncy shit.
yes. There's dash replenishers.
No, they're jump refreshers, idiot. SMH.
Whatever. And
Um,
there's the platforms that like either like descend slowly when you touch them, or they like launch you in the direction you came from.
what?
Have like depending on the like
Which,
temperature of the room, I guess.
which? Oh, in the core.
Yeah, in the core.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah,
Um,
those are quite cool.
there are
Cause
also, I forgot about these moving platforms, but there are some in chapter 4 that, launch you upwards. Wow.
oh, clouds. Yeah.
So that's minimum 4 moving platforms, which I think that's pretty varied. Um,
I mean, it's varied in how they move.
they're basically all the same. Whatever. Um,
I
there's the
disagree, but okay.
fucking there are void blocks, which are pretty okay. Not as fun as I remember them being when I went back. Um, there are there's bubble that shoots you a little bit of distance. There's bubble that shoots you a lot of Jesus Christ, distance that functions almost identically to a void block except you can dash out of it. And I just realized that. Cool. Fucking stellar. There's a
Yeah.
dark level, if that counts as a mechanic.
I
Um,
wouldn't count that as a mechanic, more like a level gimmick.
feathers, I guess.
Yeah.
I mentioned wind, right?
No.
Whatever, wind.
There's wind, there's water, I guess.
Is water even used?
Yeah, like
It like in
in
platforming?
Reflection. In Reflection, there's like a water sequence.
There is?
Chapter 6, yeah.
I don't even fucking remember that shit.
Nice.
I guess that's because it was a year and 5 months ago that I played that.
Possibly. It's also pretty
Whatever.
short, so.
Whatever. Water barely counts, fuck you. Then again, I'd
Okay.
argue that a good portion of those moving platforms don't count either. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows. I think that's all the gimmicks in the game though.
Uh,
If you count having like no regenerating dashes when you touch the ground as one, then sure, I guess. That's about it.
I guess Theo counts as a gimmick.
Oh
Question
fuck,
mark?
I forgot
The
about
Esper.
him. Is he used in the B or C side of that place?
Definitely the B side. I think the C side, but I'm not sure.
That sounds horrid. I'm gonna TBH. That
They're
sounds
yeah,
fucking awful.
they're a lot shorter, so it's not as bad.
Oh, I
But there
forgot
is some
about.
pretty hard
I'm
sequences.
sorry, I forgot about the greatest mechanic in this entire game. Uh, Deadly things that come out of the ground when you touch the ground and then move away. And they also move sometimes in the air. Wow. Fucking stellar.
Uh, where?
Chapter 3. The fucking. It
Oh,
has like
those.
the moving
Right.
blobs and then ones that come out of the ground.
Right, yeah, the mold or whatever.
Fucking hell. The only remotely interesting mechanics in this game, in my opinion, are the void blocks, which again, not sure if I quite agree with that anymore. I'd say that they're more interesting than the rest, but they're not particularly stellar, for sure. Um, they're the core switches are actually pretty neat. Too bad I didn't play that place XD, which I should have tried, but then I really didn't want to play the game for reasons that I'll get into in a minute. Fucking kill me. Um, and the dash moving blocks where you like dash into them and they fucking move in the direction that you dashed or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I like those. I don't know if they're used that well in the B or C side, but
I'm
they
pretty
sure
sure the C
as
side has some pretty good use of them.
fuck were not used well in the A side. God damn. Like I remember them just you like fucking broke a block or two and rode them to the other side of the room a couple times or some shit. It was just kind of really boring.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's the B side or a C side, but there's one screen where you basically like carry the block through the entire screen.
See,
It's like a bunch of spikes everywhere.
that sounds fucking neat.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh my gosh. It probably sucks ass because they're trying to make it really difficult by just putting spikes absolutely everywhere, but you know.
I mean, it is pretty precise, yes.
Oh, XD. Anyway, I don't know how to transition this into complaining about the movement physics, so I'm just gonna start. um,
Fair.
I really don't like the grab button. That's because I play on
Why?
keyboard, I imagine. It feels like shit. Like you just have this
No, it
fucking
doesn't.
button off to the side. Alright? Like, I'm used to playing fucking games where you have a fucking run button or whatever, and I just set that to shift, and I set this to shift, thinking, hey, there's literally nothing else that could work. And I would end up just holding it. Fucking, I just hold it, like not fucking realizing that I was, and it would fuck my life up. And then if I had to like fucking press it and let go and whatever the fuck, it was just it's really not good for keyboard TBH.
I think you
I
just
don't
bound it to the wrong button.
Well,
Like, I never had a problem with it
I could have put it
myself.
next to my jump button, but that would be like really fucking awkward. Oh god, I just put a bunch of slashes in my dock. That'd be like really fucking awkward. I don't know. Whatever.
I put it next to my dash, so like,
Next
but
to the
I have them
dash.
all in a line.
Well, yeah. Mine's
So
like.
doesn't matter.
Imagine that your dash
Also,
and jump button were swapped and then put on your right hand. That's basically mine. Assuming that
oh,
I would make the fucking grab thing whatever. Um Also, that doesn't really fucking matter because I really, really do not like the movement in this game. And I think that's the reason that I dislike it so much. I don't think I said this to you, but I said this to, Shin. I was. I started to say it one stream, and then you came in and you were like, hey, what are you talking about? Is this Celeste? But then I finished talking about it later that day, because he streamed, I think, and no one was in his chat, so I didn't feel bad about spamming it with stupid bullshit. Um,
okay.
so I I doubt I told you this either, but at one point I was recording my playthrough of Hollow Knight because I was like, hey, it might be neat to like make a video on this. I don't know what the fuck to make videos on. I might as well try this out. That died because the game's boring as shit. But I thought, hey,
Yeah.
I don't like Celeste and everybody else seems to. Maybe I should make a video explaining why. And I started up a playthrough, and I'm pretty sure I got to like the end of chapter 2, and I fucking hated it. Like, I could not stand playing the game. Which, for the next, like, all the way up until late July, I was thinking, like, surely that must have been exaggerated, right? Because I can go back and play the early parts of Nang and not have that bad of a time because it's not, like, horribly frustrating quite yet. With Celeste, I wasn't able to do that. So for the longest fucking time, I thought, like, that had to have been an exaggeration. There's no way it's actually that painful. But after coming back to it, I realized that it's 100% the fucking movement. Because the fan game engine, the Super Meat Boy engine, pretty much every other precision platformer I've played, even the End is Nigh when I got that free for fucking Discord Nitro, I played that for all of like a few screens, and that didn't feel that bad. Not great, but definitely not that bad. Um, Also, side note, I forgot to fucking change the card I was using to pay for Nitro, and so I
Oh,
lost it for all of like half a day, and then that fucking beamed my early whatever the fuck. Like, if you started paying for
oh.
Nitro before a certain point in October or
Yeah, you
November or
got
whatever,
early supporter.
yeah, you got the early supporter shit. You can check my profile on Discord and still see that I have it, by the way. But I don't have access to the free games anymore, which is fucking
Nice.
retarded. It's so fucking dumb.
You
So
might wanna like message someone on Discord.
there's no fucking chance that they're gonna be like, okay, lol, here you go, buddy. They had they f- Like, I don't want to believe that they're so incompetent that they just didn't think that this would ever happen. This had to have been deliberate, unless they're fucking
They're
horrid.
busy. They're busy all posting on Twitter.
You're right.
Yeah.
Fucking Wumpus Uwu. What a fucking train wreck of fucking business.
Lumpy dumpy.
What?
Nothing.
The fuck did you just say?
Nothing.
Did you
Don't
say
worry about it.
fucking Wumpy Dumpy? Okay, incredible. Whatever. Um, But all the other fucking precision platformers I've played have had inherently satisfying movement. For one reason or another, for Meat Boy, it's because the momentum and speed just I don't know. I don't know how to describe why it's fun, but it fucking is. Maybe that's just a trend of me liking fucking going fast. Except Sonic XD, but Sonic Ball's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic games are bad.
Yeah, big agree.
Play Freedom Planet.
Was that one of the free games on Discord? I feel like it was. I don't
Not
remember.
sure, but
Whatever,
it's
it
like the
doesn't
only
fucking
good
matter.
Sonic game.
That's probably bullshit. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah, you know, and the fucking fan game engine, I don't know. I don't know why it feels good. It just does. I guess it's more of a case of it being like acceptable, maybe.
I don't
Right?
think it's that great, honestly, but it works.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's great, but I would say it's like at least kind of fun to just do shit. A little bit, maybe.
Uh, uh,
um, Shut up, alright. 1001 Spikes has like pretty okay movement. It's not really special, but I think the fact that it has two jump buttons without variable jump height kind of elevate that to being more interesting than it would be otherwise, which is
yeah, it
why
adds a lot more depth to it, a lot more like sort of puzzle solving almost to your jumps.
that's a really good way to describe it. Fuck. We can get back to that later. Hold on, let me write that down.
Okay.
This is very good for a podcast. Alright,
Yeah.
so um fuck. Anyway, all those other games, I like the movement to some degree in them. But with Celeste, it's just playing the fucking game, even if it's easy as shit, is just an absolute fucking chore for me. And I feel like that justifies how much I really did not want to play the game back when I tried to record a playthrough of it. Because it's just so fucking unfun. Your character moves really fucking slowly by default if you're just walking around. Um, the dash just kind of the only thing that feels good about the dash, TBH, is like the tiny pause that it gives before it actually starts.
I actually hate that so much. That is something I really dislike about the dash is I
I
feel like
can
the pause like breaks up gameplay, like breaks up the base of the gameplay really bad.
fucking absolutely. I can fully see that if you're good at the game, but for a casual like me, it felt okay.
I don't think I'm good at the game. That's the thought I had on my first playthrough.
Whatever, shut up.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say it feels great anyway. It's just like it's the only thing that comes close to actually feeling not like shit. Because freeze frames can be used fairly effectively, TBH. Like, I think Wind Waker made really heavy use of them, and that felt pretty good. But
Never played a Zelda game.
literally SMHing. The only ones I beat were fucking 2D anyway. Two whole fucking Zelda games, boys. I'm a god gamer. Anyway, like the movement just feels really fucking slow. Um, your jump is kind of tiny, which not necessarily a problem, but I don't like it so much.
Yeah, the jump is kind of underwhelming, but I guess the dash is so powerful you don't really
Speaking of
need it.
which, the devs said that the dash is meant to be a more chaotic option, and that a lot of problems, or I guess rooms in the game, could be cleared by using the climb instead, which I fully fucking disagree with.
I
The
feel like
climb,
that's not true.
yeah, I find that the climb is way more fucking unpredictable than the dash will ever be, because
Okay, that I disagree with.
no, because you have this fucking invisible timer. There was my mic dying, by the way. You have this
Yeah.
fucking invisible timer on how long you can climb up shit, and that kind of makes it really hectic, and you fucking have to rush through things because you don't know when it's gonna end unless you play
At
way
the
too fucking
same,
much.
but at the
Whereas with
same
the
time
dash,
though,
you can just like jeet through it.
I feel like, but like the dash gives you a lot more time. Like you can pause and think about your next move. Well, with the dash, you just kind of have to go. You're going.
Well, I think with the dash, the thing that makes it hella yucky and grody, not the dash, I'm retarded. Climbing. I meant climbing. The thing that makes climbing garbage, I don't think that you get pauses with the climb because, like, that invisible timer thing is constantly ticking down even if you're sitting still. And I don't think that really alleviates the issue of having to kind of rush a little bit. Maybe that's just me being retarded. Maybe nobody else plays like that, but I just feel
Possibly.
like I just feel like when I'm trying to climb shit, I'm always like trying to fucking hurry the fuck up because I don't find it's a reliable tool at all. Like it just doesn't it's not at all predictable for me. And maybe that problem gets solved if you know exactly how it works because you made the fucking game. But I didn't make the game, so I don't know how it works. It makes it a bit of an issue trying to actually use it as a supposed calm alternative to dashing through things. When the dash is also quicker, probably easier, and it's just it doesn't kind of have that inherent sense of stress that comes with trying to manage a resource that you don't actually see.
I don't know. I found that you could use the climb to, well, wait and not worry about things. And it
Well,
wasn't like super
you can do that
bad.
you can do that in between dashing, but have you ever like tried just climbing through a screen
Well, no,
and
that's
then been
stupid.
doing that? That's what I mean. It's not an alternative.
No, but it's a tool that should be used along with the dash.
Yeah, but exactly. I don't know. They're dumb and stupid, and I know their game better than they do. So yeah.
Obviously.
Also, I just want to say right quick that the resolution of all the sprites in that game is dog shit. It should be like at it should be at least like 1.5 times as big. TBH. Everything is like the this is just a guess, but the main character's sprite is probably like 4 to 6 pixels by 6 to 8, and then that's
It's
just
definitely more than that.
there's I'm checking. Hold on.
It's definitely more than 8 pixels.
Listen, all right. Don't bully me. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 13 across. Epic. Maybe I was a little off. Shut up.
A
1,
little.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, that's like 17 up. Give or take 1. I probably miscounted. Also, I'm seeing like
Fair.
a DeviantArt thing here.
No.
This looks stellar. I'm posting this in Super Meme Hack. There you go.
Oh no. Oh my god.
Bro, it looks epic. Holy
Looks
moly.
great.
So anyway, I kind of forgot that I wrote 10 goddamn paragraphs responding to that one video about this game's movement, about how it's dumb and stupid and wrong, and I don't agree.
Okay.
But I also wrote this very necessary question here that definitely was worth my time. Does Rythin consider Celeste an above average precision platformer? How about platformer in general?
I
So I
don't
know
know
the
about
answer to the first
precision.
one. You obviously like the game,
I
but
do like it, yes.
I guess the game. Well, actually, no. Let me not be retarded. I think that this question's actually kind of good now that I think about it. Would you say that given its mechanics and stuff and such, it's actually above average, or do you just like it despite flaws that you probably don't agree with?
I see its flaws, and I realize they're there. The main thing I like about it, is like it seems to a complete casual who doesn't play a lot of platformers, it seems like a really hard game, but it really isn't. So it's like you feel a lot better about yourself, like progressing in the game than like an easier platformer would make you believe, I guess. So I do like that about it. And I think in general it's a pretty fun game, especially after you beat it once and you know like the movement and stuff. So it's quite fun.
You. Okay, hold on.
I completely
um.
dodged the question, but whatever.
I mean, it's yes or no. Just answer it.
No, I
It's
will not answer it.
what the heck?
I
Okay.
think it's a good platformer. I don't know if above average is a good way to describe it, but I think it's a good game.
Um, do people really get like a significant amount of satisfaction from beating things like that in this
I,
game? Like it, I don't remember getting that at all. It just
I mean, maybe not you, but I've seen people like,
wow.
you know,
Are you
hey,
cyberbullying me?
yes,
I
because
don't
you're a
know.
loser who plays Nang like
It
8 times.
wasn't 8, it was 4, okay? One of those wasn't even all the way through. Shut up.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't, alright? Shut up. I should put that off for later though. Hold on. Alright, so I just wanna say that I just wanna complain about this video that I haven't watched in like a week. Right quick. Basically reading
Okay,
my notes verbatim. Because I wrote them more like paragraphs because I'm retarded. Um
good.
This game absolutely does not reach a balance between feeling too stiff, a little to no okay, this is retarded. Basically, my guy that wasn't a joke by the way, I was just lazy. I was too lazy to explain it and I just started reading and then it was fucking terrible, so I stopped. Um
Mm,
Basically the guy said like the game reaches this balance between being too stiff or too heavy, slippy, or in his words, I believe, uncontrollable. Now, apparently, according to him, having no acceleration or very little acceleration makes the character feel stiff, which I don't know if I agree
so,
with that, really.
I mean,
I think it.
depends if you mean stiff as in like very bad, because like I
it
can see it being described as stiff, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it wasn't worded very well,
Yeah.
TBH. I feel like the implication was that stiff bad or Meat Boy controls bad because they have a lot of acceleration, which I guess in the case of precision platforming, yeah, I'd agree, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that I, don't- it's just weird to me how in a game where you have to do a bunch of jumps that require like very precise movement, you would frown upon having total control over your character's movement. And I guess I know that you still have control over the character, but it just seems weird to me that you, or not you obviously, but someone would
Yeah.
prefer a movement system that has acceleration, which makes it harder, like actively harder to move the amount that you want to. I I really cannot wrap my head around that. Also, I wouldn't say that Celeste even does a good job of that because a tenth of a second to reach top speed, which is already really slow, like a, a tenth of a second doesn't seem like much, but it really affects the small movements and adjustments that you might have to do. And because it's so minor, at least in the case of me, maybe I'm retarded, I didn't really notice it that much. I didn't notice the acceleration much at all. So I was trying to play this like it was a fan game where you can actually move like a set amount of distance by uh I guess a set amount of distance in the same number of frames regardless of whether or not you were moving before. So I'd like press a button for however long, thinking I'd end up in a certain spot, and then I wouldn't be there. And then I would try to make a jump, and I would die. Because it's like, it's subtle enough that, I guess if you're retarded, maybe I'm just retarded, you won't notice it. But it's significant enough that it does have an actual tangible result on your play.
Honestly,
That was such a bad choice of words.
honestly, this is the first time I am hearing of acceleration in Celeste. I had no idea that that was a thing
That's what I
on the
mean.
basic movement.
Okay, great. This proves my point. Um,
But then
it
it also never really affected me
I
in
I
a
noticed a
major way.
lot that I would expect the god dang character to move a certain distance when I start holding a key. Then I would let go and I would be like just a little bit short of where I wanted to be. This was a pretty pronounced problem when you sent over your save and I tried to do the Summit Seaside, where
Uh,
that repeated jump where you have to do the same thing like 8 times. I would try and line up with the wall only to be like just barely not far enough almost every single time.
hmm.
And I guess that could be pinned on me not having played for a while, but I just feel like it has such a minor effect on how the game feels that people don't notice it, that it might as well not be included, and it just kind of makes it harder to actually be precise with your movements.
I
I
don't think
really.
I don't think that level of precision really matters unless you're you and special.
What are you talking about? You have to do this in like the seaside, please.
No,
What do you
I've
mean?
beaten all the seasides and I've never done anything like that.
That's because you automatically adjusted to it over time. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm saying that it's pointless and it makes it harder to get used to the controls initially. I'm not saying that this is an actual practical problem where people are going to be jumping into Summit Seaside and being like, "Bruh, why why am I not ending up where I want to?" It's just that it's an unnecessary feature that nobody notices, doesn't really add anything to the game, and just makes it harder to get used to the controls for no reason. I don't think there should be acceleration. TBH.
I think it doesn't matter.
Whatever. Also, this lad said, implying that it's a good thing that Celeste's jump is as far from floaty as you can get, which I guess he doesn't realize that there is an extreme, a negative extreme even, on both ends, and that if if being floaty is bad, then clearly avoiding that at all costs is good. I really did not understand
No,
the point of that. TBH. What?
I'm confused.
He said word for word that Celeste's jump
Yeah, I
is
understand what he said. I'm just confused how one can think that.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucking stupid. He also he also complained, or yeah, he complained about Sonic Mania's camera being too zoomed in, which fair enough, it probably is. Um, and then I guess decided that because in Celeste you can see a good portion of the room, sometimes the entire room that you're in on one screen, that Celeste objectively does this better, even though the point of their cameras is entirely different. In Celeste, you have small rooms, right, that are specific platforming challenges. And in Sonic, the whole point of that game was to make levels with a billion pathways that were goddamn gigantic, so that the game would feel, I guess, expansive in comparison to like Mario or whatever, and it would give a lot of replay value since a lot of the paths were just really natural to go through just by accident. These are completely
Right,
different.
because it's
These are completely different like goals for the level design, and you can't expect a Sonic game to show you the entire map on one screen, because you would be like a pixel even on a 1080p screen, let alone the fucking microscopic resolution they had to work with in the first games. It just doesn't function. And same for Celeste. Like, zooming in the camera, you can barely even do that because it's already really fucking zoomed in. Zooming in the camera would just serve to block your view of everything, and it wouldn't add anything to the game because again, these are linear small rooms with specific challenges. It's not a multi-pathed like expansive whatever. It don't work. Also, he said that they had to compromise on screen space. Or, fuck, they had to compromise on sprite size because the camera's supposedly zoomed out, which is.
in Celeste.
Yeah.
S what? Does he not realize that Celeste is a PC game
I guess
and not
so.
a NES game?
This is what I mean. It makes no fucking sense. Like
I don't think
they could
that lad
just
knows how video games work.
this. Excuse me. Yeah, no. Okay, listen.
Okay.
Do you remember what this video is?
Yeah, I know you sent it to me and I watched some of it.
Bruh.
But
Don't you watch that guy? Doesn't what?
I don't remember who it was.
Gamemaker's Toolkit.
No. Oh, hey, GameMaker's Toolkit. Ish.
You said
Kind
you
of.
what? This is okay.
I
Whatever.
used to watch him a lot and then I stopped because I started disagreeing with some of his opinions. So I just like lost interest in the content.
I'm gonna I'm gonna look back on our DMs at some point and check what you said, because I'm almost positive that you said you watch him, but that video isn't so good.
I might have said that.
Okay.
Point is, I know the person. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says.
Whatever. Also, apparently he like commended the game for actually making the dash carry you instead of just being a burst of speed that immediately starts, I guess, depleting.
But it does.
No,
It
no, but
depletes right away.
it like carries you a little bit, and then after you move a certain distance, it starts to slow down, right?
It's like you do the dash, you have the trail, and whenever that's over, you're back to base speed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He commends the game for having that trail at all, I
But
guess.
that's the dash.
Yeah, I don't know. He was saying like
He's wrong.
I don't I don't know.
That's just incorrect.
Uh,
Unless he's talking about hypers, but that's like not casual gameplay.
no,
That's
he absolutely
high
was
level
not
movement.
talking about that.
Okay.
Um yeah, apparently that makes it like Oh wait, hold on. Hold on, I might be retarded. Okay, this is why I should read my notes properly. So, it turns out I'm a fucking idiot. He said that the dash being a burst of speed rather than carrying you a set distance at one speed and then just dropping you off makes it nuanced, I guess. Um,
But it does drop you off.
I don't,
What?
I don't know. It still, it still doesn't make much sense. But the
Okay.
idea I got was like maybe he was thinking of like a bad game maker game that just when you press a button it just like stops all input, moves you a certain amount at like some random speed, and then puts you back into control like really. It's just I don't know.
I don't
I don't
know
know.
what.
The original like Pico 8 Celeste supposedly has a dash like that. Um
Not really. It's not much different from the Celeste dash.
I don't
Other than like it freezes the game more.
yeah,
But yeah.
don't worry about it. Also,
Okay.
apparently Coyote frames are something to celebrate rather than common courtesy. Because
Yeah.
he praised the game for having Coyote frames, which I mean, I guess like if the game was developed by a dog who needs to like who needs to be told this good whenever you want him to do something again, sure. But I feel like people should realize Coyote frames are kind of just a standard thing now. Um, I don't know. It just seemed a tad unnecessary to compliment.
Yeah. I don't disagree there.
Your boy said that word for word, Celeste becomes a rapid fire resource management puzzle, and that's a pretty neat analogy. Cause let me pull up the original very bad script for a look back on Insanity from February 2018. Control F puzzle. Alright. This is. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. We can't do things frame perfectly every time, So in Nang, as soon as you figure out what to do, it's just trying over and over again until you get lucky enough that your fingers press buttons at the exact right times. It's essentially having a puzzle that you immediately figure out the solution to, but then you have to wait until you get lucky enough for the right pieces to spawn. So that's a good meme.
That's yeah.
I would argue that in Celeste, there's nothing to figure out, like the vast majority of the time. So calling it a puzzle is essentially saying that it's shit if you think about it for more than 2 goddamn seconds. There are a few times where, yeah, you do have to figure some stuff out, but a lot of that is probably just gonna be like trial and error where you throw yourself at it like 1,000 times and get nowhere until eventually you're like, oh, okay, lol, I can dash there instead of there, or something. And maybe people get satisfaction out of that, but I don't know, maybe Nang just ruined that for me. But I really don't get anything out of that, because it's just like, if there's a moment where I don't immediately know what to do and then have to try 1,000 times until it ends up working out, it's just trying 1,000 times anyway until I figure it out, and that's not fun either.
Right.
TBH. Also, apparently, the trail on the dash, like where you can see your character or whatever,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Apparently, that was an attempt to make it feel better, just like the pause.
Okay.
I
That
don't.
doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I don't really get that. Like, I guess it gives you. I don't see how that would make it feel any more satisfying to use at all. But
No.
according to this lad, that was like a successful attempt at doing it.
Okay.
Epic.
Sure.
Also, um, the devs supposedly avoided making the game a precise simulation of like pressing buttons at the correct time, which I don't know if they did such a good job at that, TBH, but whatever. I'm pretty
Why
sure.
would you want to do that in a platformer? The whole like point of a platformer is to press buttons. What?
Ooh, okay. Uh, I'm writing that down. Okay, epic.
Cool, I guess.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Um. Oh God. Apparently, also the Celeste devs pulled an epic. Wow, Mario 64 did this, and played around with controls in an empty room until they felt really fun. um, I don't. I. It just. I just don't feel like the movement is that nuanced. TBH. Like the the momentum from dashes isn't something that would need to be tweaked at all in that sort of way. So I don't think that that was added in that sort of process, especially since it could have been an idea like a little while later and they're like, "Oh, hey, let's add really janky fake momentum so that you can do like neat stuff." And ignoring like hyperdashing or whatever, there's basically no nuance to the movement. Like, it's just you have a grab button, you can wall jump, you can jump, and you can dash. In Mario 64, you can do like 1,000 things, so I feel like it makes sense that they would have to play around with all of those moves in a room before they started making levels for it. But in Celeste, it's just so basic that I don't think that anybody would need to do that. It just seems unnecessary if it's even true.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Anyway, that's everything I complained about in that video. That probably took like a half hour. Epic.
Sure, we're only like this a third of the way through the games mentioned.
G.
Cool.
Oh my god. Wait, I didn't talk about Nang first. I'm fucking stupid.
Idiot.
I put time into ordering these and then I just didn't do it. Amazing.
Fantastic.
Alright, well, we're doing that now unless you have something more to say about Celeste. Oh,
No.
actually, I didn't finish my question earlier.
Okay.
Then again, you didn't answer the first version of it, so it doesn't really matter. I'll ask it anyway. Um, so, assuming that you think Celeste is an above average precision platformer, which I think you do, would you consider it an above average platformer in the general sense?
It's hard to answer that because it really depends on the kind of audience you're aiming at with your platformer. Like this,
Well,
I mean, it's hard to compare like a Metroidvania, which is technically could be a platformer, right? Like most Metroidvanias are platformers, and then Celeste, because it's completely different games, even though they all fall under platformer.
well,
But
yeah,
I do think that Celeste is like, yeah, I'd say it's above average.
alright, Epic, you're wrong. Um,
Sure.
H.
H.
So, yeah, I'm regretting not writing notes on Nang now. Yeah, it helped a little bit during Celeste to have
To have
specific
10
things to talk
paragraphs?
about. What?
Yeah. To have 10 paragraphs of fucking
Yes,
bullshit?
actually, it did help to have 10 paragraphs. Shut up. Um, Nang. Nang is kind of weird. Um, I guess I'll start by saying, Nang ruined precision platformers for me, I'm pretty sure. I played that game
4 times.
not even. I played it 3 times. One of them was half a playthrough. In fact, the third was half a playthrough. And that was enough to just ruin the entire genre for me if they don't do something really specific, which I'll get into later. Which is kind of weird. Um, there's just something about it, and I'm not even sure what. Like, I guess more importantly, I don't know how I came to resent this subgenre just because of one game. I feel like it being such a negative experience kind of made me more aware of what makes it a negative experience without even realizing it at the time, because the first time I really tried to figure out what made it painful was in February 2018 again, when I tried to write that uh, poorly made thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds
But,
sounds like a lot of your content. I mean, what?
haha,
Okay, get it? Cause
I get it, cause
it's,
it's like it's like self-deprecation, except you deprecation. You know?
yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that was a good
I
one.
thanks.
Good
I tried
job.
really hard.
Well, it really paid off.
Did it?
Unlike Nang, haha.
Haha.
Jesus Christ, this is awful. Um, but I think the main things that make me hate Nang, I think, are its very generic mechanics, which that's been a theme so far. Um, it's dedication to being hard without really putting effort into that, and its refusal to use its few interesting mechanics in very interesting ways in favor of being epically difficult. I'm gonna start with that last one because it's the easiest, TBH. Um, Stage 9 probably has the best mechanic in the game, in the weird teleport jump thing.
Yeah.
Teleport jump, is that even? Whatever.
The
But
you shoot yourself, right? That
yeah,
thing.
basically in that video game, you shoot yourself. You can like shoot yourself at a wall, and then you move in a straight line, and you're not killed by spikes anymore, but you are killed by fruit for some reason. Um, and then once it touches a wall, it will teleport the real you to that wall with a jump, like or with the option of a jump, I guess, because it doesn't automatically make you
It
jump.
just it
But
just refreshes your second jump.
yeah, whatever. Shut up. Um,
Okay.
so that's pretty interesting compared to the water double jump refreshers. They were like switches, if those count. Parts
The
got
light was
dark.
kinda okay.
The, excuse me? No, repeat that.
No, because I realized what I said and it's wrong.
Was that about stage 2?
Yeah, I thought about it for more than a second and I realized, wait, no.
Yeah, I would not say that stage 2 is a particularly fantastic example of this game's mechanics. TBH. I'll complain about that later, but um so yeah, there are lights dimming. Water, there's like a triple jump. Wow.
The stars actually I did enjoy.
The stars can be used well, but for stage
The
7, I feel like they kind of weren't, because it was just like it was functionally the same as putting like a jump refresher in a certain spot for the most part.
I guess there was some like kind of interesting
I
puzzle
think
rooms with them,
I think
but
the stage 7 secret was kind of neat because you had to like you had to like go through a chain of them or whatever, and that was kind of cool. Which
yeah.
I guess that kind of I never really thought about this, but that kind of makes it neat that you have to go back there on the backside. I should not call it backside. That there's no fucking context for anybody to understand that. Whatever. I can worry about that later. Anyway, the only other real mechanic was like you can pick up things in like one secret and stage 10. Wow. An
Wow.
infinite jump if that counts. It's not very different from water though. So this game doesn't exactly have the most interesting assortment of mechanics to spice things up, but the teleport jump thing is like actually really cool. And I think it was used fairly well in the time that he was able to use it in stage 9. I will say though
Mm.
that the stage 9 secret is a huge goddamn missed opportunity. He could have done teleport jump stuff, but instead he went with the leaks, which why? You already made like 4 minimum secrets that are just straight platforming, maybe with like a jump refresher or two. And then you go back and just like he had the opportunity to make really good use of the teleport jump and like some other neat mechanic that's introduced in the secret, and he just didn't. I don't understand. And it's just for like a shitty haha Hatsune Miku is my waifu joke. Like why? Jesus
Well,
Christ. Oh, and there was a pun. Like, my secret's been leaked, haha. Lol, dude. Hilarious. So that was painful. But I still think that the regular Stage 9 made pretty good use of the mechanic. Um, the second Stage 9, though, basically, when you get all the secrets and then finish Stage 10 in Nang, you turn the world upside down, except it's actually right side up now because it was upside down before. Wow, what a
whoa,
twist. Um,
insane lore.
then you have to go through every single stage again, 1 to 9, which is an experience. And I call that backside because I played La Mulana at some point and decided that I would say that, I guess. But backside stage 9, for whatever reason, it decides that it would be fun to go through these sort of stages, at least some of them, or not stages, I guess, but floors. But this time you don't have the teleport jump, or like you have limited use of it compared to before. So it's basically removing the mechanic that's actually fun in favor of just more really boring platforming. Because that stage is
But it's
only.
harder.
Oh, you're right. That stage's only actual mechanic was that you had the teleport jump, and then everything else was just more regular platforming. And taking away that teleport jump just means that it's stage 1, but the rooms are bigger. Like,
Yeah,
those would not be out of place in stage 1, and I hate it. It's just missed potential. It's yucky. So
basically,
that's neat.
game sucks.
Yes. Do you like it, actually?
Nang, I think it's okay. It's not like great, but no fun games are really that great. I don't mind
No
most
fun
of it.
games. What the heck?
Wow.
What about uh what about Spelunky? Oops, that's not fun, am I right? Haha, funny joke.
Haha, I get it.
Lol. Hit a
I don't
nay for
actually.
that. Alright, so yeah. I don't really know what
Yeah,
else to say about nay. Um I guess the design, or I guess not really the design, but the gameplay loop you get into in the game feels like it was specifically designed to invoke frustration, because it's like probably the best, or I guess the easiest way to frustrate someone is to give them a challenge or something to do that they fail for reasons that are out of their control. And having near frame perfect jumps is exactly that. Like, this goes back to the puzzle thing. You know how to do a corner jump, right? But
yeah.
you just have to throw yourself at it until you actually get through it. That's not fun. You know what to do. You just have to hope that your fingers press things at the right time because there's human error. That means we can't do frame perfect things consistently. So the game becomes resetting a million times, trying to do the same goddamn thing over and over again, making no progress most of the time because you're not a robot. And it fucking sucks. When you
A
have to
lot of fun
start.
games are just muscle memory tests. It's
Repeat that.
basically a lot of fun games are muscle memory tests.
What non precision platformers are fun games that don't require that?
Uh, I mean, most
Or that
precision
do. That
platformers
do.
are.
Whatever.
Well, the thing about most precision platformers is that they're all on a different engine and have different controls. So you kind of get used to the game as it goes. But since fun games are all they control the same, they can have the same or
Oh,
similar
you were saying
jumps.
fan games, not fun games. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
Oh my
Sorry,
god.
I'm European.
Listen, alright. I thought you were saying, like, um, enjoyable games.
No.
Jesus Christ. Okay, never mind. You don't have to explain this.
Okay.
Fuck. Anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, I know.
thank you. I will say that that sort of muscle memory thing can be enjoyable, but I think there has to be nuance and variance to it for that to be the case. I'm going back to Mario 64 as an example.
Shit game, by the
Um,
way.
shut
Well
up.
done.
The movement in that game is fun though. I really like the movement, and I wish, just like everybody else in the goddamn world, that there were more stages like the Bowser ones, because those are fun, since you, like, platform instead of trying to go for 100 coins or whatever. Um, but the reason that I enjoy that game's movement is because there's a lot that you can do, and there's a lot of quick decision making that you have to do that makes it more interesting than just, lol, I have to do this jump this specific way that I know, let me try that over and over again until it happens.
Right.
Uh, like, casually speedrunning Mario 64, I would go for the same general route repeatedly, but it wouldn't be the exact same thing every time. And I guess maybe this has to do with leniency on it, because if you dive like 3 frames late, it doesn't actually affect you. But I don't know. I think that being able to actually have freedom in what you're doing is a large part in that, because it's not just like filling out a checklist, I guess, of like, oh, I need to jump at this specific time. Oops, I didn't do that. Let me try again. I don't know. And fan games just don't have that, which is why using like neat mechanics like the teleport jump is fun. Maybe not on repeat
Right.
playthroughs because then you already know what to do, but it's still kind of enjoyable because it's like a neat mechanic.
Right, yeah. Which is like, now that you say that, it's kind of surprising that you hate Celeste so much, since it kind of does the same thing of a lot of, especially the earlier levels, being very open so that you can like choose your own path sort of, and you have a lot of options of how to actually progress.
That's what I mean though. The whole reason that I feel like I dislike at least the early part of that game is because of the movement though. Like, and this is why I thought it was weird a while ago that I hated trying to replay it as much as I did, because I didn't feel like there was any reason to actually dislike it that much. But I really do think that it just comes down to the game not feeling good to play at all, at least for me. It's just like, if the movement isn't enjoyable and the game is boring in its mechanics, like, what incentive do I have to play? It's just a negative experience.
Hmm.
So, like, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think there are parallels to be made between Celeste and Nang, though, in a few ways. Which, yeah, I'm not going to elaborate because I'm lazy and I don't have any
Okay.
notes on it, but
I can see the same argument, like the same sort of thing between both games is wasted potential with their mechanics. I could see that. Other than that, not really.
um, I wouldn't say that there was necessarily wasted potential in Celeste, or at least not that much. I just think it's the mechanics themselves that are kind of. I wouldn't say that there's much potential to be wasted, I guess. Um, I don't know, whatever. It's not important.
Yeah.
Let's stop talking about Celeste.
Okay.
Thank
Whatever.
you. Thank you to the power of W to the power of. Why are you sighing? Am I not quirky and funny enough for you?
No, you're pretty cringy, TBH.
What are you talking about? I'm so keck. I'm not cringe at all.
Bro, 4chan?
No, bro, it's not 4chan. What are you talking about? Whatever. So yeah. I don't know what to say about other fan games. Hopefully you do.
Uh, uh, some of them have gimmicks that are interesting. Most of them don't. Don't
mhm.
ask me to give you an example of one with fun gimmicks, because
Kill the
no.
guy.
Nah, it's a shit game.
I hope you have like any idea of what you're gonna say about that game when we get to it, cause
I have no idea.
great,
I've not
wonderful.
played it in years.
Jesus Christ.
You're,
Okay,
you're, you're
whatever.
gonna carry this.
Well, what? Uh, okay.
What?
Well, I was hoping you would have something to say about it, cause you so like vehemently despise it for some reason, and
No,
I never
I
understood
don't
that.
actually. I don't actually. I know you like it, so I'm edgy and say I dislike
Okay,
it.
do you dislike it though?
Not really. I have no opinion of it because I haven't played it in a while. I remember not enjoying the boss fights.
and you, and you didn't
That's
think
about it.
to, you didn't think to, please.
To
Well,
what?
I know you tried to play it like once, but you didn't think to like, whatever,
What do you
whatever.
want from me? If you're gonna like bitch about something, then do it. Don't just say whatever and ignore it.
Well, I can't do anything about you not having played or watched it in years, or like formed some sort of opinion based on what you've seen. That's not my place to fix a problem. That's a you problem.
Look,
That's turning into a both of us problem because you're not saying stuff that I was expecting you to say, and now there's like nothing to say about this game.
okay, then just ignore it. It's
I'm
bad.
literally
Anyway.
shaking. I do have a little bit to say though.
Mm-hmm.
Geezer, you better make this fucking game good. If it turns into Nang 2, except it's not called that, I'm gonna be angry. I'm gonna be mad.
It's
Okay,
probably be Nang too.
yeah. Oh, I really don't want it to be bad. I
It's
want.
gonna be bad. Actually, no, it's not, because it's never gonna come out.
You're right. Big brain. Um, I do want to say though that I think the game has a large focus on introducing new mechanics. Even if they're not that interesting, it still does it a lot, and I think that really benefits the game because it doesn't try and build something that's really challenging, I guess. Like I should elaborate on that a little bit because that sounds retarded. I have no problem with the challenge as long as it's not just trying to get a jump that's like you have a few frame window to get through.
Right.
It's just a lot of precision platformers seem to rely on that, and I hate it because it's not fun. It just induces frustration, like I said. Um, but Kill the Guy never really does that. It never really gets hard at all, really. But I don't think that's necessarily a problem because the game is still fun because it introduces a lot of like it it's not constantly, I guess, but very frequently it's introducing new mechanics. Like in the first world you have uh falling spikes, cannons. That's about it. Uh in the second world, you have fucking platforms that move like side to side when you touch them, which were used for. Okay, I just realized. Fuck everything I'm saying. I think the thing that makes this game good with its uh mechanics is that it's sort of puzzle focused on how you complete rooms, where you have to use your big Brian to figure it out, but then actually completing it isn't that difficult, so you don't want to you don't want to gouge your own eyes out because you're trying to fucking jump through like a gate when you have to keep track of 10 other things or whatever.
Okay.
And I think that's why stage 9 in Nang was fun actually, because it was very puzzle like because you had to use the teleport jump in specific ways. I remember there's this one screen. It was like one of the earlier floors in stage 9 of that game where the fucking narrator says like time to put on your thinking cap or whatever, like haha lol. Um but you had to, I don't know, it's just puzzle focused design using neat mechanics can be really fun. I just think it kind of falls apart if you try to make it too difficult as a platformer as well, because then you need to solve the puzzle while you're doing this like stupid platforming that you're probably gonna die on at least a few times, which wouldn't be so bad on its own, but you have to whatever. You probably get the point. Um
Right.
but I think Kill the Guy really benefits from taking advantage of that sort of thing while also keeping it fresh with new mechanics. I also really like the ghost power up at the end of chapter 4. That was pretty goddamn fun. So Kill the Guy good. Also the bosses are surprisingly not that bad.
I
Exor is
really
like
didn't enjoy the couple I fought.
couple. Did you not did you I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I got like near the end, but I never actually finished.
Now
Like
that's epic.
I definitely got to Boshi. I don't remember if I beat it.
Bashi was was and is my favorite boss in that game, TBH. I think the Piranha Plant is probably the worst. That one
Okay,
is just
yeah, I
kind of
agree. Um,
trash.
Yucky.
The main chapter 2 boss after the girl's castle. Ooh, that's really good. Um, I get it because it's not in the game. Lol, that's the joke.
Haha,
Ha.
it's
Um,
funny.
but yeah, you know.
No.
Oh, Pac-Man kind of sucks too. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Exor is okay. Uh, Boshi is like pretty goddamn good. If Curly counts as a boss, that's the worst one because it's just a rhythm game that's like really bootleg. And why is it there? Um,
Great question.
then there's the Boo boss at the start of chapter 4, which is like okay, I guess. It kind of feels like a difficulty spike. And then Geezer, I like I like the sections where you have to like collect the rupees or the coins to like advance on. But then after it only happens like twice with the Goombas and then the Zelda one. And then after
Right.
that it's just epic avoidance for like a year and that just kind of kills it. So it's not really fun at that point, TBH, but that's just me, I guess.
Wasn't
Um
it Geezer that said that avoidances break up the pace of gameplay?
yeah, he said that. Which was really neat, you know. I guess that's why
Right.
I guess that's why he put that one floor in stage 9 of Nang where you have to fucking avoid fruit for like 10 goddamn hours. By the way, on my second playthrough of that game, I had to open Fraps and start recording on my laptop to drop down to like 10 FPS. Just to get past that, because I could not do it.
Nice.
That was beautiful. I'm gonna self reminder to send stage 9 avoidance to Rythin with fraps. There we go. Oh, I didn't capitalize your name in that. There we go, fixed.
Fuck.
Um, so yeah, that's all I have to say on I wanna kill the guy. We're doing OCTAHEDRON before 1001 spikes, okay?
That's fine. Yeah.
Well, I had them in the opposite order on the dock because I didn't actually change them until now. Start talking about it, loser.
It's okay. It's not really a precision platformer, but it's a good game, I think. It it's kind of long. It doesn't really have many like it doesn't have many mechanics, and the ones it does
Excuse
have,
me.
I don't. It
What?
has like
It no,
what
no,
all
okay,
is there?
hold on. It introduces a new one like every few levels. What?
Right, it introduces a new one like every chapter, but I feel like what's there doesn't really get used all that well. So it doesn't, and then like it very like after the one chapter it appears in, it doesn't appear basically at all anymore. So they're really forgettable mechanics.
Um,
At least that's what I feel. I don't know, maybe I'm fucking dumb and you have a completely different opinion, but
I
just
feel like you're kind
uh
of right because a lot of the mechanics, like it feels like pretty much every level introduces something new, even if it's minor. But they're usually relegated to just that level.
yeah.
And I don't know if I can really complain about that though. Because the game like it hmm,
It feels like it never tests your knowledge of the mechanics because as soon as they become relevant, they become irrelevant again after like 5 minutes of gameplay.
yeah, I think the main problem that the game has is that it just becomes kind of a clusterfuck later on in an attempt to be more difficult.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
There's way too much going on.
I think you're onto something here in that it would benefit from like expanding on previously introduced mechanics to make things interesting. Like I think if even if it had like basically the same structure, but the second half of the game was just was just levels that revisit mechanics from earlier levels, I guess. So like level 1,
Yeah.
you know, it would have its nang backside XD in the second half of the game. Fuck, this is just nang now. I didn't think of that. But I think it would benefit if it did something, obviously not exactly like that, but closer to that sort of thing instead of just putting 1,000 lasers and enemies everywhere. Also, I feel like getting a new platform type for each chapter or world or whatever was kind of neat, but then it just
But
stopped after
then
happening twice.
that and also once you got a new like you got a new platform type, and basically from that point onward it was only upgrading that platform type,
Yeah,
and the previous one was completely useless. There was like one use for it in the entire game after getting the upgrade.
yeah, I bought
You
this
have
game
basically no reason to go back to the previous one.
exactly. I bought this game a year ago, like roughly. So that was like I guess for reference that was uh July to September of 2018 probably. I don't remember exactly when. I think it might have been July
Right.
actually. I think it was whatever. Um but I got to World 2 maybe like 2 3 in from when I got the game all the way until I started playing it again for this. I was like in World 2 and that entire time, I assumed that each new world would give you a new platform with a unique effect, and that you could switch between all of them at any time, and you could like use them, and you would need to use one over the other in like later levels. So you might need to kill something, so you'd use the blast one that looks like a brick, and then like I don't know,
Right.
maybe you'd need one that fucking shoots out a key. I don't know what they would do. But I assumed that would be the case. But then it was just like, lol, here's your other one, but now it has a consistent laser instead of one projectile. Oh lol, here's that, but now it has like stuff shooting out of the sides. Lol, that's your last upgrade.
Yeah, and then you get like, lol, it lasts longer, haha.
Those were the bonus. Those were the
Yeah, the
bonuses
bonus
though.
stages,
So
but
I don't think those should really count, tbh.
I mean, there's still like upgrades.
Well, yeah, but it's not really the same thing, I guess.
I guess it's not really like it's not necessary for progression.
Yeah. But there were a couple times where you would need to like avoid hitting one of those Super Mario World flowers that shoots out all the projectiles if you hit it with something.
Yeah, that's the one use for the previous platform type.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. It like that was neat, but it should have been used
More.
more and in more
Yeah,
interesting
exactly.
ways. Like I think maybe once in the game you were incentivized to not use a shooting platform because there was like breakable ground below you that you want to keep. Maybe once.
I'm
There
pretty
should have
sure
been
all of
that.
those instances, you wanted to break the ground.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But and again, I played this. I played like up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
World 2 a year ago, so I don't know. But if that wasn't used, it definitely should have been, because that would have at least it would have added. I feel like I couldn't really complain about this if they had just done that, because it wouldn't be used all that much, but at least there would have been like a visible attempt that's more than just like two times where you want to get a tetrahedron.
Yeah.
It's just kind of rarted. Also, speaking of tetrahedrons, shoutouts to the ones that are placed below the screen, but there's
That
no
it's
indication if
like
that's gonna hurt you or not. So you just have to jump down there and fucking pray.
I'm pretty sure actually, like, to be fair, I'm pretty sure whenever the bottom of the screen hurts you, like there's a visible laser there.
No, there isn't. I tested
Um
this and
okay.
I wrote in my notes like, I don't think there's an indication, lol. But then there was this one level, I don't remember which one, where I jumped down and it just fucking G'd me. So
Okay.
that's kind of dumb. Not a big fan of that. It's not really a big deal because you can just reset instantly, but it's still annoying and unnecessary. Also, why
It's
does. Hmm?
secret locations overall in Octahedron are not very good, in my opinion.
I didn't really think
Like,
they were that bad. They were
I
more.
just think that invisible, like, basically like covering the background until you walk into it is really cheap.
I I don't really agree honestly because it was a pretty distinct. Like I don't think it was cheap. I think it was just unnecessary.
Yeah,
It felt like a Mario Odyssey thing where they were like, "Okay, we're gonna have as many moons as we can. Lol 800. Let's just put them fucking everywhere without any thought.
yeah.
You just do like the most menial shit."
It
And
felt like they needed to hide them because they didn't have like interesting, I guess, puzzles or like
yeah,
interesting platforming to get to them.
which is weird
So,
because I feel
yeah.
like they could have I don't know. They could have made it like I don't know what the fuck. My brain isn't working right now. I don't know which 3D shape it would be to have like two of them make an octahedron. Whatever, who cares? But they could have like two per level, and then that would give them an opportunity to actually flesh those two out. Whereas
Yeah.
if you have to have six in every level, you're gonna be like, well, I don't know where the fuck to put any of these, lol. Let's just like scatter them around because having having to force yourself to put that many like I guess higher value collectibles in a level is inevitably going to I guess lessen your ability to make them special.
Right,
And
yeah.
that only really applies if you're putting 70 in one world, Odyssey, or if your levels are if you have like a billion levels that are built for platforming first, because Octahedron has a lot of levels, which means that like if it only had 10 levels, yeah, they could do 6 per level probably and make them interesting. But if you have like 70 or more, whatever the game has, then it gets a little bit difficult to actually make them special when you have like fucking 400 or more tetrahedrons in the game. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just I don't really get why they were included at that point cuz
There's definitely too many of them, and yeah, it's like either the levels are too small or just don't have anything interesting for them.
yeah, it really does feel like Odyssey though, now that I mention it, where
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
them
just softer
feel
for.
like they're just filler, just thrown in there because they had to put it there. But then there were a few where like you have to go above the level and then there's an extra challenge that you need to do or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And it's so inconsistent in how much you need to put in to get them. Cuz like
Yeah.
you can just walk to a corner and lol you have one, or you need to go through a clusterfuck of like a billion lasers rotating 10 times a second for a single one. It's just strange.
It is, yeah.
But I
Also, can I just say, fuck the collectible requirements to unlock stages?
I 100%ed every single level as I went.
Yeah, same. And
um,
it's fine for casual playthroughs, like it doesn't matter because chances are you're gonna 100% everything anyway. But for speedruns, it's really annoying and
Honestly, I
not
think
very
that it's a
fun.
good thing for speedruns though, because it kind of adds a lot to routing. Whereas normally it would just be like lol go through the levels, but
It adds
if
a lot to routing, but at the same time, it
I
also
don't
removes from routing because if you have skips, it like s- uh,
yeah, I
this is
suppose.
actually the case in Octahedron
Oh
where
no.
there's a lot of skips for levels that are IL only because you just cannot afford to go for them because you miss too many collectibles.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
I guess that's
it's
fair.
really unfortunate for speedruns, and I wish it wasn't in the game, or if there was a like there's another game which we didn't really write down because I don't have much to talk about it, and I don't think you've played Super Lumi Live, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
removed
but
that one.
yeah, but they did add a tokenless mode because it had the same problem. It had like tokens you had to collect to unlock stuff, but they just added a mode that you don't need that because speedruns were annoying with it.
Yeah,
So
I was about to say like maybe it could have been neat if the speedrun mode just removed the requirements and then like there could be a separate category for the casual mode where you do have to get stuff and then one for the speedrun mode where you don't and you just have to get through levels. Um
yeah.
yeah, I guess that's another bit of missed potential. I don't know. I think the game was on the right track with its consistency with introducing mechanics and all that, but it just kind of
I wish the mechanics it did introduce were more interesting and like the game feels too long for the mechanics it has. Like
I
I don't know.
didn't I didn't
I
really
feel like
feel
if
that
it
at
had
all.
I generally it might be me because I have a problem with longer games. Like I often just get bored of them quickly.
Okay, so you're never
So I
gonna play
thought like
La Mulana good?
yeah, exactly. It's a miracle I made it through Dark Souls because that's a quite long game. But yeah, I don't have the patience often enough. So it's a miracle that I made it through OCTAHEDRON, honestly, and it took me like a couple months and multiple sessions because I just like I'd beat like half a world and get bored, and then I'll come back like a
Yeah.
week later.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah, it's just the mechanics weren't interesting enough.
I don't know if it's really the mechanics not being interesting enough. I think it's just natural fatigue when you're playing a game, especially one like that that's so, I guess, hectic, where you just kind of
Yes,
need a break after
it is quite
after a little
exhausting.
while.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and especially since I'm a fucking idiot, and before playing it, I watched Chris speedrun it,
Oh my
so I
god.
knew, so
I
I knew about the platform boosting stuff, where like you know how you when you put down a platform, the character does a little jump, then
yeah.
lands on the platform, and then you can jump again.
Hmm.
But if you press platform and then jump right after, you can jump instantly. So you can just chain those to jump up really quickly. And it's a lot of fun
Oh,
actually, but it's very tiring for your hands. So like
yeah, I can see that.
after after a certain point, I just like I have to take a break just because my hand hurts.
I didn't actually know about that. That sounds like I feel like that should have been a mechanic that's taught to you,
I
kind
don't think
of.
it was intended, but the dev just left it in because
Okay,
it's
yeah,
fun.
if it was unintended, that's fair enough. I don't see how that would unless like unless when you spawn the platform you're actually standing on it for like a frame. Or maybe there are Coyote
Yeah,
frames and
uh,
I don't know, whatever. Um
you're probably just touching the platform, but
oh, fan game
you
physics.
do maybe I don't know. It just works,
I mean, it
and
is made in GameMaker XD.
no, it isn't.
Isn't it?
What do you mean fan games? Because
No,
I'm pretty sure
the
Octahedron is its own engine.
I'm almost positive Octahedron is hold on. Like not a fan game obviously, but I'm almost certain it's made in GameMaker cuz you get like the beta versions or whatever, beta mail and stuff. For some reason, I don't remember why I have those. Or where it is in my goddamn Steam folder. Did I uninstall the game?
Hmm.
Oh god, no, no. Okay, apparently I had to open Steam. I'm not doing that. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing this game in my Steam folder. But I'm pretty sure like the definitive edition or whatever, like whatever gives you the soundtrack and stuff, that gives you beta versions
Right.
of the game, and they all had the default Game Maker Studio icon. So
I don't know.
maybe there was a switch on engine, but I doubt it.
I don't think so. Uh,
I'm pretty sure it's made in
let's
Game
see.
Maker.
I'm
Is there any real way to like check aside from that?
I'm just looking at stuff. Oh, maybe.
What's going on here?
Hold on.
While you're doing this, I'm just gonna say that the fact that the game goes for like a collectathon thing, I think in theory is pretty cool, and I think with the flowers it works fairly well. It's just again the tetrahedrons are kind of misused in a way and too plentiful in the game to really be of any worth.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot going for the game. I just think it makes a few fatal missteps that kind of ruin the experience.
I'm sure I've asked about the engine in the Discord before. Uh.
Incredible.
Oh. Oh wait.
What?
I found a in the Discord. I found a conversation with the developer.
Wow. I swear it was made in Game Maker.
It I think it is, yeah. I think you're right.
SMH. Shaking my damn head. Trying to doubt me. Oh my god. I feel so unappreciated.
Yeah, you just said GameMaker Studio 2 made everything worse. So, yeah, okay. It is GameMaker.
Come on. What were we even
How
talking
is,
about, by the way?
OCTAHEDRON?
Oh, snap.
Oh, crap. Oh, heck. Uh, what were you talking about? The Tetras being
No,
bad.
no, no, we wouldn't have brought up the engine. Or wait, no, no, no. I said fan game physics when you were talking about the platform boosting.
Oh,
Right.
alright, yeah. Uh,
I don't
hmm.
I don't know. I just like it's hard for me to dislike the game because I really do appreciate what it does in a lot of ways, but
It had an interesting idea with the, like, strictly vertical platformer. Like,
mhm.
there is no... It's like a side scroller, except it never scrolls to the side.
Bruh,
It
it's a
just scrolls up.
vertical scroller.
Oh, that's epic.
Also, why don't the goddamn menus have consistent keys? Jesus Christ. Like, the level select is just kind
Oh
of a
yeah,
mess.
it's like it is. I'm pretty sure it does have consistent keys. It's like if you shift the arrow keys like 45 degrees to the right, that's the layout,
Is that
but
clockwise or counterclockwise?
What
it's
the heck?
clockwise.
Alright, epic.
To the right, it's clockwise. But then also some buttons, like if up doesn't have a direction, it will go left for you, so it's
Yeah, that's what I
confusing.
mean. It just doesn't feel like it's consistent, at least.
It is consistent, but it's also lenient, and the leniency makes it feel inconsistent, if
Yeah,
that makes any sense.
I think it would have been better to just have it like it is, like it be, you know? I think
Yeah,
I'll let him say it. Um,
I feel
it
you,
doesn't
I feel
help
you.
that a lot of the paths through the worlds are like they don't ever have like all four directions open, so you can't actually like properly get a feel for which fucking key corresponds to which direction.
Yeah,
Which is a minor thing, but it's kind of annoying. I can see
I'm not
that being
sure
annoying
why.
if you like initially try to get into speedrunning and then you're like, how the god dang do I even select the level, please? And then you
Yeah,
lose a
it's
second in your 2 hour long run. Tragic.
horrible.
Uh, yeah. That was about it. There's not really anything else to say on the topic, I think.
Yeah, the menus suck. The game has interesting ideas, but executes them not the best. It's still not bad, and it's still worth playing, but
Yeah. I'd say it's fun. It's just. It's.
it gets samey, sort of,
Eh.
I
I
think.
guess so. I was kind of feeling that because I played like the majority of the game in the span of like 5 days.
Yeah.
I'd play like an hour or two each day, and I wish I could check my final playtime, but I'm too lazy to open Steam. Um, it wasn't really pronounced, but I feel like I was getting a little bit tired of the game. Anyway, um,
Yeah,
yeah, you know,
I don't know.
oh, okay. I have notes on VVVVVV, but I removed it from the list of things to talk about. I just
Good job.
realized. Should we talk about that?
Sure. It's a good game. I enjoyed it.
Okay, epic. Is that it?
I mean, I just like the basic uh my basic opinion of it is it is good. I can talk more in depth about it.
Okay, I don't have many notes, but I think it's an alright game.
Yeah, it had a interesting idea. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the first game to do like gravity flipping as the main platforming
Yeah.
mechanic.
There might have been like a Flash game, because I know there is like at least one of those that did that, but I don't know when the fuck it came out in relation to VVVVVV.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be redundant and say the whole name every time, by the way. Uh,
Good.
you're welcome. Initially I wanted to complain about how the game was in 30 FPS, which I didn't even know it was until I played it recently. But then I
I did not
realized
realize.
for the time, that was just the standard. Like 60 FPS only really started to become something that people cared about at all relatively recently. And this game, I would say latest it came out 2011. So it's not really reasonable to expect it to have done that when nobody was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what like engine it's on. If it's like an original one or a pre-made one.
I feel like it
I
was
thought it was
probably original.
Flash. I
Flash?
thought
Oh.
I thought it might be Flash. I know I know there's a like a Flash demo on like different websites, but I don't know if the full game is in Flash.
Does it... Have you played those?
The demo or the full
The
game?
demos.
I have played the demo, yes.
Does it control the same? Like, does it...
Yeah, it feels like the same game.
Well, shit, it might be Flash then.
It might.
Whatever.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Uh,
Do we need to know this?
I'm trying to find. There's a version for Commodore 64.
Someone made that. What? Oh boy, I bet the
Platforms:
music.
Windows, Nintendo Switch, OS X, Linux, 3DS, PS Vita, PS4, iOS, Android, Ouya, which is the mobile console,
Oh
Commodore
my god.
64,
They made it for the Ouya. Beautiful.
Pandora. What the fuck is a Pandora
That's a really good
console?
question. What the fuck?
The Pandora is a handheld game console and a mobile personal computer originally released in 2010.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so it was rewritten in C++, apparently. I don't know, there doesn't seem to be much about the original, like the 1.0 version. Whoa.
Alright, so I just want to say that the kind of open world, I guess, aspect of the game is kind of shit. The screens are like tiny, so you're in and out of them in like half a second, and the transitions are instant, so it's really disorienting to try and make your way around. And a
Yeah.
lot of it just kind of serves no real purpose. Like, the best you could say is that it allows you to tackle whatever levels in whatever order you want, but I just like... It probably could have been done with significantly less space used. You can make the argument that, like, oh, well, the levels are actually taking up space in the world, that you can't, like, put random fucking screens over. But you could just have them, you could have the starts of each, like, I don't even know what they're fucking called, like the proper levels, whatever. You could have the starts of those on the edges of the map, and just like they're in some different fucking space, while you can explore like the middle as its own thing.
Right.
Also the trinkets, like the ones that actually provide an extra challenge, those are alright, but then there are a lot that are just lying around in the expansive open world, and they just kind of feel completely useless in like every fucking way.
Yeah.
Those probably could have been excluded with little to no downside, TBH. Although,
Yeah. There was a lot of them that just felt unnecessary.
like, I wouldn't
Well,
really.
maybe not a lot, but
Well, there are
there was a
20, but
bunch.
there
Yeah.
are only a few that are actually in the levels that you have to do shit
Yeah, yeah.
for. So that was kind of weird. I think that the best parts of the game, by like a good margin, were the partner intermissions, which I think there were 2 of them, right?
I know one of them that I hated.
Okay. Well, you're wrong. Fuck you.
Okay, sure.
I feel like those just kind of like they added something to the gameplay that made it feel really distinct. And I think it was done fairly well, at least. But it's only used like a couple times, maybe. I don't even remember if it's twice. It might only just be the one. Because when I played it, fucking sequence break broke, whatever, and that fucked me from
Nice.
actually completing the game, and I didn't feel like doing it again.
Congrats.
But I don't know. I feel like there should have been more of that sort of stuff, and maybe there is in the ending like sequence that I forgot about. I don't actually remember, but I don't think there
I
was.
don't think there is, no.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
so
also
sad.
I was checking the engine. And yes, it was originally on Flash, but
Let's
then got
go.
rewritten in C++.
That's really weird. It's like,
It was rewritten to like be able to port it to consoles.
ooh.
Yeah.
On that topic, what happened with Meat Boy for that same thing? Was that just like, cause there's no way that was Flash on Xbox, right?
I think it was. I think it was the same
Did
game.
Flash support, or fuck, did Xbox 360 support Flash? Like, what the fuck? Okay.
I mean, it must have, right?
Well,
Like didn't it come out on like Xbox first or
I'm pretty sure it
at the same
came out
time?
on Xbox 360 first, yeah, so I guess
They wouldn't
shit.
port it back to Flash on
Yeah,
PC.
that's fucking weird then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's still on Flash in the new version on PS4 and Xbox One ?
Is it on the... Hold on. There's no way it's on the Xbox One.
I mean, it's on the PS4, which is the same
It might... Okay, it's not
the
on the
same
Xbox
generation of
One.
console.
Yeah, but didn't Edmund, like, hate Microsoft after they tried to keep fucking Meat Boy completely exclusive or something?
I don't know.
Whatever, it's not on the Xbox One, but it might have that backwards compatibility thing, maybe.
Oh yeah, probably.
That's all I have to say about about this game anyway. It's like, I don't know, it's just okay. I don't know.
Again, I like the mechanic, like the main idea of it. I like the levels, the like couple gimmicks that were there, like the flippers and stuff were interesting.
The screen wrapping was kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, well, when it was there, which is like 3 screens maybe,
Ouch.
but it was cool. Gravitron sucked. Gravitron is bad.
That's my favorite part of Boshi. I found the game was like maybe a bit too short. Like there wasn't really much to it. It just kind of ends in like an hour.
Yeah.
It's so sad. But yeah, VVVVVV is okay. That's all I really have to say on that, TBH. Um, so 1001 spikes is pretty goddamn good.
Yes.
Sometimes. I think it would be more interesting to hear your thoughts on it first, maybe. If you can
I really
formulate them.
I really liked whatever the first level, like the first stage is called, like Ukampa or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it.
You mean the grassy one?
Yeah, the whole grassy one. That one I really enjoyed. I feel like in Antarctica, it like it spiked in difficulty, and I feel like that was sort of going overboard.
Yeah.
I it was still like good. It wasn't a bad, it wasn't a bad set of levels, but it was hard to the point where it stopped being enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
or at least as enjoyable.
I felt like the
Uh,
penguins were a huge part in that. When they started like throwing those spike switches where like the
oh
spikes
yeah,
could be on either side and then the fucking penguins running through that would do that automatically. So you'd like anger a penguin by accident and then you'd just be fucked for the next year of your life. That was kind of really
yeah,
annoying.
yeah. But I felt the game had like obviously trolley like traps, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
But I feel like most of them were done like actually well to the point where they were kind of funny.
absolutely.
Like when I don't remember which level it was, but there was one where it's like you go on a moving platform like across lava, I think, and then there's like a staircase of those fire things that like activate the fire as you step on them,
Yeah,
and then you
I
go
know.
over lava
Oh,
again,
fuck.
get like a key, go back, and then the door has the floor under the
Yeah,
door has spikes on it, and it's like all 3 blocks around it are spikes.
I know exactly
So you're
that
just
level.
like,
Couldn't you,
yeah.
like.
So
Oh, fuck.
hmm?
What were you gonna say?
It's just like you open the door and you see like, oh, there's spikes there, and you die to them. So the next time you open the door, okay, so now I'm gonna stand on the block to the side, and oh, there's spikes there too. It's like, it's so good.
Yeah, I think it does fairly well with traps over other games. But speaking of that world though, do you
Mhm.
remember that one fucking level where you're just on a moving platform for
And there's
12
darts.
fucking years? Yes, and it's just
Yeah, I
darts
hated that
everywhere.
one. I hated that one
That
so much.
is
That's just memorization.
that's
It's
that's
like
one
the
of the worst levels
worst.
in the game,
It's
honestly.
horrible.
It's fucking AIDS. Holy shit.
And it's only that part. Like the rest of the level is fine.
The rest of the
But that
level is
part
like
is
10 seconds long. You fucking
true.
you wait for falling blocks and then you like do a high jump onto them and then you use the shortcut if you're a fucking Chad gamer. And then
Yeah, and then you
you
wait.
just dodge. It fucking sucks. That's a fan game moment right there.
Yeah.
But what do you
You don't even
think?
have to dodge. You can just like snipe the darts. You just have to memorize where they come from. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah, it's yucky. But
Yeah.
what do you think you enjoy about the game?
The controls are really good. The controls are like they're intuitive.
I can get behind that.
They're well, they work well, which is like kind of important in a platformer, you know. Uh, as I said, the traps are funny and good, so I like those. I like the whole 1001 lives mechanic because it puts some pressure on you, but in the end, it really doesn't matter. You're not gonna get through all 1000 lives in a single
Yeah.
playthrough.
About that. Uh, if
Oh no.
if you're like me, no. I'm not saying I died 1,000 times. Fuck no.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm not that bad. Jesus Christ. But if if you, right before you die, go to the world map and then start the level again, you don't lose a life. And I abuse the fuck out of that in every playthrough I've ever done.
Wait, if you return to the map.
Yeah, if you pause right before you die, and then, like,
Okay.
press world map, you just don't lose a life.
But why would you do that?
So you don't lose lives. Come
But
on.
you get so many.
I don't want to fucking have to play through the dart level, which, by the way, I have written down here. It's called Crossfire.
Okay.
I don't want to have to play through that shit, alright? So I want to have a main file that has, like, a bunch of lives that I never lose. And yeah, that's how you do it. Fuck playing through that goddamn level. There are also a bunch of others that I just don't like due to how I play the game.
I always just restarted whenever like whenever I died, because it's just faster than actually waiting for the death animation.
Can't you just press the jump button as soon as it shows that, like, you are dead screen, then you respawn, though?
No, but you can pause the game and restart.
Oh yeah, I guess it does take a second for the animation to play. World map is just as quick as that, by the way. XD.
Oh. I assumed it was, like, slow.
No, like, you pause the game, press world map, it puts you on the world map, like, a frame later, and then you can just instantly go into the level and it starts. It's
Okay, well,
pretty epic.
it's quite epic.
I feel like they should have patched that, but then they didn't. I wonder if they're
Perhaps.
making games now. Because I know... It fucking... Maybe I'm retarded, but it came as a surprise to me when I figured out that they are... goddamn weebs made this game. Which, I didn't know that shit. Fucking... British Indiana Jones didn't seem like the most Japanese concept to me. Maybe I'm just dumb though.
Huh. They
Oh,
made
fuck.
games. They made, like, a sequel.
Wait, what?
They made Aban Hawkins and the 1000 Spikes. Oh no, the
No,
1001 Spikes is the sequel. Or a
it's...
virtual successor thing.
1001 Spikes. I actually found this out at one point, I don't know why. But 1000 Spikes is just like an Xbox game that has the first... I don't actually remember how much it had, but basically 1001 Spikes is... Fuck. I wanted to say the La Mulana remake here. Cause
Oh yeah, it
I
is
don't
the
know,
same
it's
level.
not really... Fuck. What's like a... Shit, whatever, I'll just... Okay, so 1001 Spikes is to 1000 Spikes what La Mulana remake is to the original. Where it has the same game in it, but it also has a fuck ton of new stuff. Where in La Mulana, that was like new graphics, music, the puzzles were changed, all that shit. There was a lot of polish, basically. In 1001 Spikes, that's actual new content. Including the first world, by the way.
Oh.
Which apparently you enjoyed a lot, so I guess 1000 Spikes isn't your game. Tragic. Why did you just DM me?
I sent you a link to a game they also made.
Oh shit. I'm
Same
gonna
people.
check that out soon. But yeah,
They also made another game for the Xbox, but it looks bad.
What's it called?
The Tempura of the Dead.
Oh shit, they have characters from that in 1001 Spikes, don't they?
I'm not sure.
No, they absolutely do. That ninja dude is fucking in the...
Oh.
Holy moly. So was that guy with the shotgun or whatever. So epic.
Very cool.
Anyway, nobody cares.
Yes.
I feel like... And this is kind of dumb, but... or it's kind of dumb to say, but I feel like I like 1001 Spikes for the wrong reasons.
Why do you like it then?
It's like the way I play the game in pretty much every, not pretty much every playthrough. This is just how I play it now, but I'll treat every single level as an IL where
Right.
I just like I'll try to route out like not it's like loose routing where you just kind of throw yourself at it and see what happens, but I'll try to like complete every level as efficiently as possible, and because of the game's cycle-based nature and shit like that, it makes it really interesting to do that.
Right.
I have a nice list of examples from worlds 2 through 5. And I really should have looked at these notes beforehand because I could have checked these levels out first. But a lot of the levels that don't end up being good for that's I guess style of playing are ones where it's basically ones that are long, I guess. The longer ones tend to kind of be long for some bullshit reason. Like there's one world or one level in World 3 called Boulder Dash
I
where
think I know which one that is.
yeah, it has like at the start there are like 2 scorpions, I think, and it just has bursts of 3 boulders shooting through this like linear path that's 1 tile high. So you just have to
Right, yeah.
wait your entire goddamn life to get through that, and it's horribly boring. And then after that, there's this like maze-like section where you have to go to the bottom, like maybe hit a switch once, and then you get the key, you go back up, hit a switch there maybe, and then you can go to the door. It's just fucking bad.
Yep.
It takes way too long. But being long doesn't really mean that it's gonna be bad though. Because there's a level in World 4 that I wrote here. The vines are safe. I don't remember what the fuck this is like, but apparently apparently it was good. Again, I should have looked at this. Goddamn. Um Oh fuck. Wait, I think I know what this is. I think I know what this is now. Yeah, okay. So this is the fire world again. Or like the lava one or
Okay.
whatever. It's the level where you start at the top left and then you like jump down a pit and there are spikes at the bottom and there's like a flame trap and a dart trap, I think. And then like
I might know it.
and then from there you go up a little bit and then there are these there's like this thing of 6 breakable blocks that you have to stand on and spikes shoot out of the walls there. So you have to time it right.
Right, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is pretty good for doing this sort of thing. The only thing I'd say that isn't so good is the timing on those spikes, but that's just something you have to learn, so it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good ones in this game, but World 5 is fucking awful for it. There were 2 levels in that world. Manubagel, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Outer Walls were okay. Everything else was bad. There's one called Too Easy, which the name is very much appropriate. It's not a level. You just fucking do like 2 edge jumps, get the key, and then you're out.
Oh,
Which is
I don't remember that one.
fantastic. There's the one with the golden thwomp, where you have to like look in the opposite direction that you want to move. I hate that thing. Worst fucking mechanic in the game.
Thwomps, were not very good.
The regular ones I don't really mind that much, but the
I didn't like them.
golden one that you have to control is just the worst. Especially with the darts that shoot at you the whole time. I hate it.
Yeah.
And apparently Booty Traps is an auto scroller. I don't know what level that is. But I don't think Antarctica is really good. Like
Yeah, no,
in
it's
general for this sort of thing especially.
it has a couple cool levels. Like I remember one where you have to like drop down and hit the switches as you're dropping. It's one of those like it's hard for the sake of being hard. It feels like it's a lot harder than anything in the previous chapter. But I do like the idea of
I think you
'cause
might
the game.
I think you might be thinking of level 1 in World 5. Because
What?
that one had you. It's the one where like you drop down and you have to hit the red like
Yeah.
bulb or whatever, and that spawns the platforms. There's a level
Is
where
that
you do
not
that in
in
World 5.
Antarctica?
I don't know if it happens again in Antarctica. Okay, thanks for notifying me about something, Chrome. Good fucking noise I just wanted to hear. That
Nice.
might happen in Antarctica. I don't remember it happening though. But it
I might just be full of shit then. I
was
don't know.
it. Can you describe more of the level?
That's the only thing I remember about it.
Shit. But yeah, I wrote that down as being a really good one. I think the best thing in this game is when the platforming is really involved with a lot of varying mechanics. And I think the worst examples in this game are ones that are effectively auto scrollers, of course, but also ones that don't really have much going on. Like there's one in World 2, Sinking Suspicions. If I remember correctly, that's the level where like you jump across a bunch of falling blocks on the top of the screen to go to the right to get the key, and then you go on the bottom to the
Right,
left.
yeah.
That one's just long and has nothing going on in it, so it's fucking
Yeah,
boring.
that one sucks.
And levels like that are just kind of, they're just not really fun to play, TBH.
Yeah.
Also the bosses are terrible.
The first one is not good, but it's like
The Antarctica
it's
boss, man.
the first boss is not hard enough to be like extremely annoying. The Antarctica boss is no.
That one was just horrid.
It's
My
horrible. It's
god.
garbage.
I remember playing that back in 2016 and it was a fucking nightmare. I'm only like, on my current save, I'm only a few levels away from getting there. But the one I quit on is the first one where you have penguins that activate the fucking spike switches. Who knew? I did not feel like going past that point. I think
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I think some of the earlier Antarctica ones where you make use of the ice blocks a lot, those were kind of fun.
Yeah, those are cool. I do like the ice blocks.
Good shit. I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff added in Antarctica is pretty neat. It's just kind of, and this has been a theme, but it's just kind of trying to be too hard, and so it
Yeah.
relies on kind of bullshit instead of being fun first and foremost. And
Yeah, that's a big problem with platformers in general is like
yeah,
they do tend to just go overboard on difficulty because I suppose that's something that the genre has like been known for a while is the 2D platformers tend to be quite difficult nowadays.
Wow, Mega Man is hard.
Well, I said nowadays, like
No, but like people were
uh,
like, bruh, the old school platformers were hella difficult, bro. I want that again. And then they
that's also
just
true.
like make you do frame perfect jumps, lol.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It isn't, by the way.
So I think we're done talking about specific games that we both know.
Yeah.
But do you have any examples that that we haven't talked about, by the way, that you think
Uh,
are significantly better than most, I
well,
guess, or
let me
not
check
even
my Steam
significantly better,
library.
just like good ones. Okay, I guess I'm starting.
Okay. Let me just, before you go, there's one we haven't talked about yet that we both mentioned, and then we never, like, I guess we didn't write it down, but The End is Nigh is
Oh well, I only played the
it's a video
first
game.
like maybe chapter of that before the
Okay, well,
Discord thing happened, so I
you've
can't
played,
really. You can talk about it if you want.
yes, I mean, you've played the first chapter, so you've basically played the whole game.
Honestly,
So
it looked like that. The game does
it
seem
really
really.
doesn't introduce much of anything except bullshit. There is like some obstacles that are chapter specific, but
I know
they're
there are
not
like screen
really.
wrapping things in the second chapter, which I think were in like Warp the Worlds or something, because one of those. Or wait, no, that was Find a Cure that had uh, the End is Nigh section, right? You probably don't remember. It was one of those shitty
No,
marathon fan games um, that
I don't
had
remember.
that had a section based on the End is Nigh, and there was like gas that kills you after a second, which seems stellar. There
Yeah,
was
that's a mechanic.
there were screen wrapping obstacles. That's all I remember from that, but it kind of sucked.
I know there was a fan game made entirely about the end is Nigh, so that's
Oh
cool.
no.
Uh, I don't remember any screen wrapping, but there's just enemies that like chase you down. Like there's frogs that jump at you and birds that fly at you, and you can jump on them. But if they touch you from the side, you die.
Haha, Mario
Uh,
lol.
there's the gas that kills you after a while. There's that, but water. There's water that doesn't kill you. There is there's like uh you know those enemies from Isaac that are on chains and they like try to
Oh
chase you.
no.
There's that.
Why?
Um, I don't know. They like charge at you and then get stunned for a while, so you can like cross by. Uh, I there's like some projectiles that you can jump on, which is just frogs but retextured. There's lasers, I guess. Just generic like platformer stuff. Other than that, like spikes.
No, that's epic.
It's very very not interesting. And then like the first half of the game is like boring but okay. It's like it's playable, and then you get to the halfway point in the game, and turns out the optional quote unquote collectibles that
Oh
have
no.
been like on every single screen are now your lives, and if you run out, you go back to the beginning of the like section.
What?
So it's like yeah, it's basically Dark Worlds from Meat Boy, but if you die too many times, you lose all your progress in that chapter, and then yeah, and it's obnoxiously difficult, of course, because Edmund Macmillan. Uh, and then at the very end, it it does a nang. So you beat
God.
that chapter, and then you get to the end, and it's like you find the friend, the thing you've made in the first half of the game, and he goes like, "I'm gonna explode, lol." So now you have to go back through the entire chapter, and you're on a time limit.
Why?
So
Oh,
so you
God.
have 6 minutes to go back through all the levels, and like as the timer goes down, the screen starts shaking. So like when you're too close to the end, you basically can't see what's going on because it's shaking too bad.
That's epic.
Yeah, it's very.
The
It's a
game
video game.
just seems like really watered down Meat Boy with
Yeah,
like
kind of.
nothing interesting. Also, fuck the soundtrack.
I actually really like the soundtrack.
That's
It's like the one thing I like about the game. But I like classical music, so
I don't.
clearly.
Whatever, SMH. So, what were we doing before this was mentioned?
Just like other games that are worth mentioning.
Not other games, it's actually a specific one, SMH. What were you? Oh yeah, you were looking at your Steam library, whatever.
Yes. You wanted to mention probably the cloud whatever shit.
What?
The other game that's like you went on about that it has like 78 different mechanics.
Cloudberry Kingdom? Do you have
Yeah,
that?
that one. No, but you probably wanted to mention that.
Well, yeah, I was about to. So Cloudberry Kingdom is probably the reason that I play 1001 Spikes the way I do. The game is that concept taken to an extreme, where the entire thing is like each and every level is just a cycle. And
Okay.
it doesn't necessarily have to be played like that, but the way that the game works kind of heavily incentivizes it, because every single level is randomly generated, and or at least when you're not talking about the story mode. The story mode probably was still randomly generated, but they're consistent levels that they put into the story mode deliberately.
Right.
Which I think are ordered with like certain mechanics being introduced throughout and shit. But the later ones of those get like fucking ridiculous in terms of difficulty, which I would never want to play or get to probably. But there's like this huge range of difficulty in the game that I think really makes it better, because like no matter how much of a challenge you want, you can get something out of the game. Absolutely. And there's a lot of customization when you do like you can like generate a random level just with your own specifications and shit. Which I think is pretty neat, because if you're like me and you hate the random sky lasers, you can just turn that shit off, which is pretty epic. But when you start getting to those harder levels, right? You're going to have to use the tools that the game gives you to actually beat it. And the game allows you to okay, so more importantly, before I say that, the game generates a solution to every single level it makes through like a bot's movements that you can spend gems you collect to watch. Like you can watch the exact playback of what the bot would do, as if it was like being tasked right in front of you, I guess.
Right.
You can make the game slow-mo, probably like half speed. That's just a guess. It looks roughly half speed anyway. But you can slow down the game to make it easier. And there's also an option to have the bot's path shown to you, but with this vague dotted line and circle representing the character, so you don't get an exact idea of what to do, like in terms of where your hitbox should be and stuff. So,
Right.
because that bot path goes at a specific time in a specific way, it kind of like heavily incentivizes you also taking that route, which leads to the game becoming just make it through on the right cycle. And I think that could probably be pretty shit. Like right now I want to go and play the game again, but I feel like if I got to the harder stuff, assuming I did play it again, I'd probably start to hate it. But like at least with the easier stuff, that can be pretty rewarding, I guess. It's something that I at least enjoyed 5 or 6 years ago when I bought the game, which by the way, I got that shit on the Xbox 360. That was a mistake because for some fucking reason, at some point, the servers, I guess, decided I didn't own the game actually, so I wasn't able to play it past like a year after I bought it, which like fuck you too. I didn't want to play it anyway. God, I'm so mad, so genuinely angry. Dang it.
You sound it.
I know. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, the game has a fucking million mechanics. I'm just gonna read off the list, cause fuck it. Retracting spikes. They're on a cycle and they'll like go into the ground and come up on regular intervals. Falling blocks, where you step on them and then they fall. Wow. Blocks
Whoa.
that swap between being tangible and intangible on a cycle. It's kind of like the spikes, but blocks. There are bouncy blocks that bounce you high. Wow. Rotating spike balls or saws, like the ones in Meat Boy or on Yama's Throne that one time I was doing a score run. There are Mario-esque fire bars. It's like basically the exact fucking thing taken from their castles, just put into this game. There are screen wrapping platforms like the ones found in underground levels of Mario. Maybe, I think they're only in underground levels, I don't know, whatever. There are Boshi-like screen wrapping spike balls. I don't know if you remember, but there's this one section in the Cheetah Men world where spikes are falling from the sky and wrapping around. I remembered that for some reason. It's like those. There are the random sky lasers that I mentioned, which are like, they come from the sky, they spawn in like random angles. They're all like less than 20 degrees though, so it's not really that bad. But they just spawn fucking everywhere. There are swinging platforms, so like it's like a pendulum motion. There are flies that you can bounce on and either effectively give you an extra jump, or you can like not get that boost, which is probably useful sometimes. I don't remember. By the way, I got all these mechanics from like not even watching, skimming through Let's Plays, so I might miss one. There are clouds that are functionally like a cross between Spelunky's worm entrance thing, like the tongue or whatever, and its webs, where like you just constantly fall through it, but you can do a jump as if you were on the ground at any point inside of the cloud. There are random fireballs that just kind of spit up from below. Those might only be in the world that has lava in it. I don't really know. That's the only place I saw it, because I only saw them once. There's position-based time advancement, where you're playing super hot now, except going to the left reverses time, because that's a thing. And I'm not sure, but I think that the bot, like the dotted line trail thing, that thing moves with the time, maybe. So, you know, that kind of makes it a little bit more overpowered than maybe it should have been, but I don't know. And then there are just moving platforms for losers, of course. That's only like stage mechanics that can be put into a stage. There are also a million different control styles. There's a double jump, there's a jetpack, there's like a thing where you're strapped onto a wheel where you start playing Meat Boy in terms of acceleration. Sometimes you're small and have increased jump height. Sometimes you're big and you have a small jump. Sometimes you're changing size constantly, which I'm pretty sure it looks like you just had the same jump height, but it changed your hitbox size. That one seems kind of shit. Um, you have like this one thing where you're on a horse and you're just bouncing repeatedly. You can't stop jumping, but you can hold the jump button to jump higher or whatever. Um, there's epic gravity flipping bracket VVVVVV mode XD bracket. There's a spaceship where you're like flying around and you can fly in every direction. And there are probably more, but that's everything I could find in the 2 Let's Plays I watched or skimmed through, whatever. Shut up. There were a couple mechanics in the game, and normally I feel like that would probably be a detriment to level design because, and this should be really obvious where I'm going with this, but it would kind of overwhelm someone who's trying to make like decent levels here. But for this game, because everything's just generated, I think it adds a lot of neat variety to it. It could also be a clusterfuck. I don't know. I haven't played it in
Surprising
half a
that
decade.
if like since it's everything's just generated like that, it's surprising that you don't get like soft locks or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I feel like there are probably super rare cases where that might happen, but like
There has to be like cases where it's soft locks or it's something so precise that a human cannot do that or
yeah,
whatever.
but
Since it's all tested by a bot.
but it's at least like exceedingly rare, which I think is pretty impressive. I think this game
Yeah,
was
definitely.
this game was made in like 2013, which isn't really relevant, but I'm mentioning it anyway. That's basically all I have to say on the game. There's a lot of shit in it, and it's fun because it's basically Cycle Land, which I like in 1001 Spikes.
Yeah.
Epic.
I've got one game, actually 2 games to mention. One that is just like is good. I haven't played much of it, but
Well, that's
I
cool and
know.
all, but I'm not done. Okay. Fucking idiot. Okay, so
Shut up.
I think the reason that Cloudberry Kingdom is fun to me is obviously because of the whole cycle thing. But the difficulty in the game, while technically it's basically the same thing, it kind of feels fundamentally different because everything's like a moving part, I guess. And each
Right.
level is random. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like the difficulty is different in a strange way, where I can more easily look past it, I guess, or at least I could back when I played it. Maybe that's not like the case anymore. I don't know. Now it's time for your idiot games.
Okay. 1. Dustforce.
I
It's
know nothing about that.
it's like momentum based and has fairly limited gimmicks because it's mostly just like some enemies, but the enemies don't really do much. Mostly just walk around, and there's like sort of like jump replenishers, except you have to hit them. And there's small ones and there's big ones. So small ones, a light attack is enough, but the big ones you have to heavy attack them. So it adds some variety, and there's like mostly slopes that if you fall on them and then you like jump attack on them, you get a lot more speed, so you can make other jumps. You can like stick to ceilings and then jump off ceilings, and that refreshes your double jump. There's like 4 characters that all like behave sort of differently. Like one has low jumps but has a triple jump. There's one that has that is slow but jumps high. There's one that's just balanced, and there's one that's just like faster horizontally.
Nice.
Like each one is like better for different levels. It's a very basic game that uses its mechanics very well throughout the game to like give you different challenges, all with the same limited mechanics.
I've like glanced at that game effectively. And I don't know why, but I get the feeling that like I wouldn't like it, even though I probably would if I played it. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have anything to say. It seems like maybe I'm just like getting the wrong impression on how complicated the movement is or something, even though I've barely seen it. I guess it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever.
It is. I liked what I played of it, but I never played much of it for whatever reason. I don't know.
You haven't finished
Just kind
it?
of no.
Maybe you should do that.
I should. It's a good game, and I do like it, but just haven't bothered.
So what you're saying is
And
this is a La Mulana 2 situation.
probably.
Epic.
And there's another one that I've played most of it, and I do enjoy it, and I also need to come back to it. And this is a game I'm sure you've never heard of. It's called Run Jump Rabbit Turtle. It is
What?
it looks like garbage because it was made in GameMaker, but it has and it very much looks like a GameMaker game. But it has like not really super deep mechanics, but it has enough to be interesting, and the level design is kind of on the like hard to be hard side, and the developer really likes to like show off that, oh, this game is super hard. But it's decent overall. I've beaten the first half of the levels, which is called the easy ones, even though it's not really that easy. But you basically get like you get a rabbit and a turtle. The turtle can glide for some reason, and it can bounce on certain blocks. The rabbit can dash and has a high jump, and it's just faster. And you get to use both of them like interchangeably a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like
Game maker, more like gay maker.
Oh,
Got him.
got him. Also, the developer of that game gives out keys like for free if you just message him, because he doesn't care to make money off the game. He just wants people to play his game.
Bruh, just make it free, lol.
I don't know why he didn't, but whatever.
I mean, I think it's reasonable to keep it at $5. Which, by the way, I just looked it up. That's why I know it's $5. I know you were just so confused by that, so I had to explain.
Of course, I
But
definitely didn't hear you typing.
no, definitely not. But I think it's like, if people want to play the game, he'll just be like, yeah, sure, I'll give you a key. But if people are willing to pay for it, then he's probably just happy to make some money off of it, because why not?
Yeah.
I can see people like thinking it's kind of scummy though, because he doesn't, or at least he might not advertise that you can just be like, lol, give free. But yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. There isn't really a solution to that. Anyway,
yeah.
what would you say makes Run Jump Rabbit Turtle or whatever stand out?
just like the
You probably already
different.
answered this, but I wasn't listening that closely. Cause
I mean
I
the
am
mechanics,
cool.
right? The whole like switching between two characters and they're both like fundamentally different, and the level design makes you use both of them a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
That makes it sort of, well, yeah, it makes it stand out from other basic platformers.
It's basically like the Theo sections in Celeste, am I right? Haha.
No, not
Yeah, because you
at
have
all.
2 characters, idiot. God, stupid. Alright, epic. So, are you looking at the doc at all? I assume not.
Yes.
Okay. Um, what do you think would make your ideal precision platformer? Because I have no idea.
I honestly don't know. Like,
Alright, great.
it's a good controls, a
Hmm.
level design that isn't difficult for the sake of being difficult, but actually is interesting. I do like when you like approach jump and you have to think a bit before actually jumping.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit good, TBH.
Yeah,
Um,
it's,
I was
but
gonna
that's about all I've got.
I was gonna ask something and then I didn't. This is so
Nice.
sad. Right, I remember now. um, would you put like, I need to use my big brain to think about how to fucking word this. Um, oh god, I'm dying.
Nice.
Thank you. I have no
Anytime.
fucking clue how to say this. Yeah, you know.
I don't.
Oh,
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
dang it. I thought you did. I think you might be stupid. Not gonna lie.
Perhaps.
Alright, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I feel like probably by far the most important thing for me is controls. And I don't mean like good controls really. I mean controls that I guess are more than good. Like they're actively interesting.
Right.
They're like constantly kind of a source of enjoyment. That's not really something that I can say for a lot of these. Meat Boy comes the closest, but I wouldn't say it's quite there. Um it's just I don't know, I guess Noid 2 almost kind of does that in a sense, but that doesn't really work in a 2D space. I
It
guess
really doesn't.
you could argue that there's no reason there couldn't be a 3D precision platformer.
I feel like 3D is a lot more interesting when it's like not precision based. It's
Yeah,
a lot harder
it
to do precision good in 3D.
yeah, but
And like collectathons like Hat in Time and I guess Ukulele, even though that game apparently is kinda poo.
I
But
feel like
I feel like those types of games are just better for 3D.
are you bullying Octahedron? What the heck?
Why?
It's a collectathon of sorts. Not
I
even of
just meant
sorts, it
like
just is.
as far as 3D games go,
You wanna die?
collectathons are better than yes I do.
Oh,
are better
dang.
than precision platformers.
I guess, yeah. I can't really disagree, but like, I was just saying that it's possible for there to be a fun. Wait, would Cluster Truck count? Is that a
Mm,
is that a precision platformer?
I don't think so. I think that's a clusterfuck platformer.
Die. Like, I I don't know. I kind of think it is because you have to platform with precision, and that's the main point of the game. I don't know. I'll get into that later, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I just need some good goddamn controls and even satisfactory level design as long as it allows enjoyment from those controls would be fine.
Yeah.
I don't really know of any games that do that, so rip. Or at least that I've played. This is so sad.
I'm
But
very sad.
oh god, I'm dying. So as a whole, you'd say you like precision platformers, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Why?
I don't know, it's just I like clicking buttons on my keyboard in a rapid succession.
RuneScape can do
And
that. You said okay, I started saying that before you said rapid succession. Shut up.
okay.
Don't bully, please.
Yeah, and it's the
Uh,
genre that does that and also keeps me interested in the game.
the answer fucking sucks.
The fuck? What else do you want?
I mean, you just said I like them because they're good. I'm literally
No,
SMHing right now.
I said I like them because they let me click fast. It's
Yeah,
the same reason I enjoy
you
rhythm
like
games.
it's
This
there's no way that's your only reason. Please, like
I mean,
what what makes what makes a good one good over like a garbage one? Okay, thanks for another notification. Jesus Christ.
if everything we've discussed, right? Level design, platforming, like controls. It's the things that makes bleh, that make platformers feel good to play.
Oh, okay, whatever.
I don't understand what kind of answer you want from me.
Well, let me
Like,
demonstrate by ranting about nothing relevant and then pretending that's a point, like I always do, okay? So shut up.
okay.
Um, I think it's pretty clear that, at least for the majority, I dislike these games. And I think that's just mainly to do with their fixation on being difficult, because I guess they view that as something to be desired, even though it isn't necessarily good all the time. And usually people will focus on that over introducing and expanding on interesting mechanics. Doesn't even have to be introducing mechanics. You could just have mechanics from the start that are neat and then expand on them a lot. But they usually just end up being really boring platformers, or I just had a stroke. Platforming that relies on the controls to carry the enjoyment, and usually the controls aren't that special. And I feel like that can be said for Meat Boy, Celeste, Nang, pretty much everything. Like, the enjoyment I get from 1001 Spikes is from all the neat uses of its mechanics and traps. Like, the dart traps are really cool, and they're used in a lot of interesting ways except for that one level. And probably some levels in Antarctica, I don't remember. But it's really about that game using its tools well to make interesting scenarios where the primary goal isn't just to be hard. Although it does sort of get into that later. But for a lot of other ones, like, I think I said this. I hope I said this, but I kind of liked Meat Boy when I did the light worlds. It's pretty fun, mainly because of the controls. But once the game, like once you start doing Cotton Alley or Dark Worlds, the game just becomes difficult to the point where you're almost not allowed to enjoy the controls because you have to focus on getting through all these really tight jumps, and it just kind of ruins the fun of it for me.
I do agree actually on the Meat Boy thing. I think the light worlds are the most fun the game gets.
Let's go. Anyway, yeah.
So,
It's just I really just don't like them because difficulty is handled poorly, and usually they're really bland in their mechanics. That's about
that's
it.
true, but I guess that's my thing is I prefer if a platformer is if I quit a platformer because it's too hard rather than if I quit it because it's too easy and boring. You know, like
The thing is, it's not really that it's too hard. It's just the way it goes about being hard is actively immensely frustrating. And
well, yeah, that's basically what I meant. Just like
well, there there are a lot of things that I'll stick around with despite that. But if I'm supposed to be having fun and like that frustration isn't only a temporary thing, then what incentive do I have to play a game? Because like for things like Nang, right? They're okay early on, only because the movement is like sort of enjoyable. But once you start to get to stuff where you're resetting 12 times every fucking second, then you're not getting anything good later in the game, and you're already not having fun. It's not going to improve, and it's shit right now. So the game is just not fun.
right.
And like I'll stick with the game through that. But if I already know what's coming, like with Celeste, when I tried to play that twice now again, it's just like I just really, really do not want to do it, and it's still like this is still about what makes us like them. So, um, it's really just a matter of me not wanting to play them because of that, rather than me not playing them because of that, I guess. Even though it's kind of both, but for a first impression, like I won't quit a game because it's difficult. I'll quit a game because it's boring as fuck, Hollow Knight, or I'll quit a game because I've played it already and I hate it. But there aren't really any times, at least that I can think of, where I've stopped playing a game I haven't finished yet for a reason that wasn't uh my 3DS stopped taking the fucking cartridge, so I couldn't finish A Link Between Worlds even though I really wanted to. Which I don't know why that happened, and it's still fucked. I don't know.
Nice.
So Basically, yeah. So,
Yeah.
does that... I highly doubt it does, but does that give you at all a better idea of what I'm asking here?
No.
Alright, great. Would you say that Getting Over It is a precision platformer?
I'd say it's a precision-based game, but I wouldn't say it's a platformer.
How come?
I think the term platformer is like it should be reserved for games with similar gameplay, such as moving and jumping dedicated to separate buttons.
I guess so.
I'd say I don't know what to classify Getting Over It as.
I have that same issue with
But
Monkey Ball.
yeah,
But
it would be like the same sort of camp, I suppose, or the same subgenre, maybe.
the way I view it is that precision platformers are games where you have a method of jumping and moving, obviously. And you have to use those in a precise manner to achieve the end goal, I guess. I wouldn't consider Monkey Ball a precision platformer, because although it does have precision, and I guess I don't really know what to say for Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, because that game has a jump button. I don't know. But you don't actually have any sort of jump for at least the first, like, 4 games. But in Getting Over It, you do have a jump.
I mean,
Even
you
if
have like
it's...
a swing.
It's not a traditional jump, but you can still jump. You can be stationary on the ground and then launch yourself into the air, straight up.
Well,
So
sort of. But it's
I...
not a jump. It's like a
Well, I'd argue that it is. It's still upward, like deliberate upward momentum that you can very, very like predictably, I guess, utilize for situations.
okay, but then it doesn't fit the other part of my definition, which
Yeah, but this is
is,
my definition.
well, fuck your definition.
Oh, okay. Um,
You can't like
I was
walk
hoping
around.
you'd have a definition that was like, assuming you disagreed, but I was hoping you'd have one that's similar, but had something that could be argued, but it's literally just, like, completely different, so there's nothing to talk about here.
Yeah, I guess so.
H.
H.
Also, A-Bob, you motherfucker, he said that it wasn't a precision platformer because the physics are apparently inconsistent, so if you try and task the game, you'll get different results every time, which is pretty neat. And that if
Okay.
a game doesn't allow, like, perfect precision, it shouldn't really be considered a precision platformer. Which,
Actually, that's not a terrible point.
it's not a terrible one, but I feel like in the case of Getting Over It, it only really affects TASs. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
they're absolutely consistent enough for a regular player to get through without noticing that it's inconsistent.
I mean, people speedrun the game, right? So like,
yeah,
it's obviously consistent enough that it
but
doesn't matter.
I think, like, a good example of inconsistent physics that, if something like this was in a precision platformer, I would absolutely agree, is Bad Rats. Because you can play that game casually, set everything up right, and on one attempt, it does not work. And then on the next, it can just fucking work perfectly. That game's physics are shit. I don't know how they I don't know how they managed it, but they
I love
just...
I don't know how many times that happens to like how often that happens, but I had objects in Bad Rats like fall towards the screen out of the play
Oh
area.
my god, yeah, that happens too. Like,
It's so good.
it's just... it's just like... it's so bad. But if you have blatantly inconsistent physics like that, then obviously you can't have any real precision. And
Yeah.
it's the whole nagging problem of hoping that you can get through, except this time it's not due to human error, it's due to, like, the game's
game.
error.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, and stuff, you know?
No, I don't know. Sorry.
Oh. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, though.
Yeah, I mean, we got through the games we planned and some extras.
That was a high quality, like, over 3 hours.
Oh Jesus.
Alright. Epic. Let me